Warrior Lore. Chapter 605, Double Dragon Gathering. Chapter 605, Double Dragon Gathering. Who? In a quaint room, Shuafan sat on his stone bed with his eyes closed and a raging azure flame on his forehead. Deep in his mind, a prismatic dragon with the same azure flame on its forehead rested with its eyes closed, its majestic figure brimming with more power with every flicker of the flame hum. Shuafan flashed his eyes open and shook all over as his aura exploded. The dragon's soul did the same and roared, the azure flame covering it and turning the dragon into a flaming dragon, spreading the flames in every corner of his mind roar. Shuafan howled at the heavens for a full 15 minutes. Shuafan took a deep breath and took a feel of his boosted power. 3 months was all it took to reach the second layer. Training the soul with azure flame is way faster than any cultivation method out there. And with azure flame and dragon soul combined, his soul achieved perfection, making his soul attacks even deadlier. Steward Zhua, may these old bones come in? An aged voice had Shuafan quick an eyebrow. Venerable Bai, please. A flick of the hand had the array torn down, and with a point, the crude wooden door opened. Venerable Bai smiled, and his eyes brightened at his advance with a cup of his hands. Ha ha ha, congratulations, Steward Zhua. Oh my, you're moving up in the world in just 3 months. Steward Zhua is a true gem in this cultivation world. So many so-called geniuses would be dying of envy. You're too kind, Venerable Bai. I'm just putting in a little bit more effort than the rest. I always tell these youngsters my success came from slow and steady progress, devoted day and night to one goal. But all they want are my pills. Such feisty children. Shuafan shook his head. Venerable Bai's cheek twitched at his touch of the dramatic, good frickin' actor. The world is saturated with those going at it harder than you, but do you see any other freak around? While having talent is innate, it gives you no right dangling before others. Shuafan smiled. Venerable Bai, to what do I owe this visit? Why aren't you speaking? Why do you think so? Venerable Bai shook his head. Steward Zhua, Sect leader, and the 3 coaching venerables have asked for you. But with you being in seclusion, they haven't disturbed you. Judging from the sound the array gave, they figured you advanced and sent word. Oh, thank you for waiting for me, Venerable Bai. Shuafan bowed most respectfully. Venerable Bai smiled. It's my duty. Why does Sect leader need me? Well, Venerable Bai gathered his thoughts. Sect leader and the coaching venerables are asking. So it must be related to Double Dragon Gathering. Shuafan nodded. Xiaoyue treated the event with such importance he never told him anything. For him to ask about my situation, he must be ready to set off. Shuafan squinted. Leaving Venerable Bai, Shuafan went for the hall to find Xiaoyue, and the fiends waiting. Xiaoyue smiled. Finally showed up? What can I say? I needed a few days to enter the second layer of the Radiant stage. Shuafan shrugged. Xiaoyue nodded. I know that. Venerable Bai told me. Why else do you think you're not punished for denying my summons? Shuafan remained silent, taking a random seat. Xiaoyue's face sank. The prick still has no respect after all this time. Not even for me. Let's calm down. He still has his uses. Xiaoyue gnashed his teeth. Fiend Young laughed. Shuafan, you're advancing so fast, a true talent. We aren't ones to nitpick slights from such geniuses. Rules are made for the strong. After all, right, Wuyue? You're one to talk, having the same attitude decades ago. I thought I told you it's Sect leader. Xiaoyue glared. Fiend Young chuckled. Xiaoyue went down to business. Shuafan, Double Dragon Gathering is just around the corner, and there are some things you should know about it. Figured as much. Shuafan nodded. Fiend Young continued. Shuafan, to talk about Double Dragon Gathering, we need to start with the world situation. Have you ever heard of a sacred spirit stone mine? I have one on my finger. However, he was curious how the mortal domain even heard of a sacred mine. But to avoid suspicion, what is that? Ha ha ha, coming from a backward place like Tianyu. Of course you'd not know. The 4 chuckled, with Fiend Young explaining, Sacred Spirit Stone Mine is the place where an even greater spiritual energy gathers, greater than any spirit stone can hold. The mining is harsh, but it has great applications in arrays, soon making it the target of every sect and empire on these lands. And this world has 5. You're serious? Zhua Fan gasped. Sacred spirit mines made sacred stones, a rarity even in the sacred domain, such that every grand clan monopolized them to the point not even a demonic emperor like him could get one. Yet here he was, in the mortal domain with 5 of them. Wonder if the clans there would be invading it en masse at the news? Though it got him thinking from another angle. For the land to give birth to sacred mines, it had to have thick spiritual energy. Why was the mortal domain so thin instead? While the 4 had an even greater reaction to his reaction. Didn't he just say he doesn't know? Why so jumpy? Zhua Fan gave a strained laugh. For the sacred spirit mine to be so precious, it must be quite rare. Yet there are 5 of them? One can hardly be divided, while 5 makes it even easier. Zhua Fan, you're no fool. You call 5 mines for the entire world many? Zhua Fan eyed him. Plus, sacred spirit mines are in a different class from common spirit mines. A spirit mine assists one's cultivation, and even without it, a cultivator can just take the spiritual energy from the air. He can go anywhere with a bit of talent, while a sacred spirit mine assists your cultivation and improves your constitution. It's the best ingredient to grow experts. That's what makes it invaluable. Why else do you think middle 3 sects and superior 3 sects are so powerful? Zhua Fan turned solemn. They use sacred stones for cultivation? Right you are. This is the basis behind Double Dragon Gathering. Fiend nodded. The 5 mines are split between Eastern lands, Western lands, Southern lands, Northern lands, and Central area. To defend their sacred mine, each area's power formed a union. We belong to the 10 Sect Alliance of the Western lands, with Double Dragon Manor as our head. While it might be like a sect, it is not, because it has no disciples. It is more of a group formed of strong people, our strongest force in Western lands. They guard the mine against any invaders. To raise the power of Western lands, Double Dragon Gathering holds a Double Dragon Gathering every 3 centuries, selecting the best seeds to groom in the Double Dragon Gathering. Xiaoyue picked up, however, they do not take these disciples for themselves, returning them after a decade or 2. But even a decade under their teachings and sacred stone cultivation will earn one more progress than simple cultivating for centuries. It will be of great benefit for the future, while the chosen disciples sect will be greatly rewarded as well. Zhua Fan's eyes jumped. The sole purpose of Double Dragon Gathering is to protect Western lands, to prepare for war. While the 9 sects, to raise themselves, participated in it, wishing their disciples were chosen, raised for free into experts, while also earning a big profit for themselves. That explains their almost fanatic desire for growth. No one knew more about sacred stones than him. Take a plain OL spiritual gathering array and supply it with sacred stone, and you'd have a sect with the same environment as those in the sacred domain. To raise dozens of talents who could possibly resist the allure, certainly no man, and without a doubt no sect. Chapter 606, Set Off. Chapter 606, Set Off. If it's just to raise experts, why aren't the sacred mines divided among the sects and give everyone a share? Zhua Fan asked, won't it make defending Western lands easier? The 4 had bitter smiles, with Fiend sighing, I wish it were that easy. The mines are oddities of nature to such a degree that it makes mining them hard and slow, and that is only at the fringe. Not even the strongest man in these lands can pierce that tough wall. It forces us to wait for a few centuries before we can mine just a bit of it. Someone planted it. Zhua Fan nodded. Be it your average spirit mine or sacred mine, all had their quintessence focused in the center. And the crucial part of these 5 sacred mines was behind a barrier someone placed beforehand, leaving the sacred stones outside of it for the others. In other words, the sacred mines have an owner, no native of the mortal domain, that's for sure. Zhua Fan understood everything. I see what makes Double Dragon Gathering so important. When do we set off? In a week? Xiaoyue said, you have 7 days to pick your team from among the disciples to fight in the Double Dragon Gathering for our sect. The higher you rank, the more we will earn. I hope, with your strength, that the demon scheming sect will become a middle 3 sect. Zhua Fan nodded. We're going alone? The fiends will take you? Just 3 venerables? Zhua Fan raised an eyebrow at the trio. Aren't we the future of the sect? Fiend shrugged and laughed. Zhua Fan, Leave it to us. Every sect does the same, sending a couple venerables at most. Not even sect leaders can come, afraid too many experts join and affect the meeting. This is a rule of Double Dragon Manor. Oh, Zhuofan nodded. This way at least the disciples can fight to their heart's content. Too many old coots glaring at you from the side will only put bigger pressure on the disciples. How can one conduct a normal match when you have to mind some old guy's thirst for revenge? Double Dragon Manor's rule made perfect sense. You're free to go. You'll be going in a week. Xia Wuyue waved him off. The three fiends of hell bowed and left. Zhuofan was doing the same but paused. Xia Wuyue, we need to talk? That's sect leader. Xia Wuyue's face twitched, but all he could do was sigh. What is it then? Zhuofan said flatly, sect leader, our agreement was to enter the demon scheming sect in exchange for the 9th grade pill. I have done my part and only left Double Dragon Gathering to finish. Afterward, I want to know if you'll return my freedom. What's so bad about the demon scheming sect that you want to leave? You're practically a star here and may even go higher in rank sooner or later, at the peak of your career. Even my position isn't out of your reach. Patting his throne, Xia Wuyue snickered. Zhuofan shook his head. Home is where your heart is. Without some sort of promise from sect leader, my mind will be affected and will harm my performance at Double Dragon Gathering. You're threatening me? Xia Wuyue scoffed, though only giving a stink eye. Fine, since you don't like it here, I won't force you to stay. You can go to the Luo clan. But make damn sure few people are going to Double Dragon Manor. Everyone will laugh if you leave, and I'll have no successor. Zhuofan was in a tight spot. You saw it yourself. The top 3 elites are no match against 3rd young Master Han even combined. While I alone can deal with middle 3 sects people, getting the others in Double Dragon Manor. Is that a no? Xia Wuyue mocked. Then why are you wasting time talking to me? Once you leave, I'll be left with weaklings. Even if we get to be a middle 3 sect, are these disciples supposed to be representing us? To be blunt, your strength is worth shit. If you can't take those brats along, don't ever think about leaving. You'll stay here, leading. Ugh. Zhuofan jerked and Xia Wuyue grinned. Is that too hard, perchance? Didn't you raise Yue and Kue gang quite fast? The 2 kids are good, yes, but it was done with resolve, harshness, and peril. Those wastrels won't. Zhuofan's eyes darted everywhere. Well, bro? Give me the word. The kind of word that'll threaten the oldies' power, just how one might kill their grandkids. Eyeing him, Xia Wuyue snickered. I know where you're going. Fine, you have free reign. Just make sure those brats don't drag you down. Xia Wuyue threw him a jade token. Zhuofan saw the Xia character on it. That is my symbol of authority containing a trace of my soul. Every elder and venerable of the sect will treat any holder of it as me. The fate of the sect is at your whims. Holy shit, why the hell didn't you give me earlier? This bauble would have saved me heaps of time. Zhuofan giggled. Xia Wuyue shook his head. When you just arrived, you had nothing to your name and would only cause more trouble with the elders and venerables. While now you have strength and renown. And with this, they will respect you more. While some might fight it, they can't do much against my authority. If you had used this from the start to piss them off, Venerable sure would have used it as an excuse to get to me. Oh, wise and brilliant sect leader, I shall be going now. With this baby here, I'll put those brats in their place. Zhuofan had a positively killer grin as he left, unaware of the cold eyes Xia Wuyue had as he watched him go. Zhuofan, you're growing beyond my expectations. Perhaps it would be for the best if you leave after Double Dragon Gathering. Ha ha ha. On the morrow, Zhuofan called for the coaching venerables and picked the disciples for Double Dragon Gathering. Qi Changlong's group of 3, the strongest elites, was the obvious choice. The rest came from the labor office: Gue Hu, Taiying, Yu Ling, and Kue Lang. Yuer and Kue gang came as well, with some other presentable disciples. The sect's barrier cracked open, and Zhuofan took a deep breath as he stepped outside. After so many years, the rest were excited to see the great outdoors as well. They finally got to sightsee after being stuck in the sect for most of their lives. The fiends had bitter smiles. Hey, Zhuofan, sect leader gave you a week to decide. Aren't you rushing things too soon? Fiend Yang worried. Zhuofan shrugged. What's wrong with now? I know their strength and have already made up my mind about who comes or stays. Fiend nodded glumly, pointing at Kuei Gang and Yuer. I get the others, but why are these fresh radiant stage disciples needing demonic treasures to fight opponents along as well? They're my disciples. I'm only bringing them to see the world. Ugh. The Fiend's faces twitched at Zhua Fan, finding logical explanations for everything. Dude, you're too pig-headed. We're going to fight to the death with other sects, yet you're bringing along your disciples for some sightseeing? What are you, tourists? Kuei Gang and Yuer chuckled. They knew by now Zhua Fan's character. He'd do whatever he wanted and whenever. I won't have it. I'm telling Sect leader about this. This is not a joke. Fiend flicked his sleeve. Turning to rat him out, Zhua Fan revealed the token and its pressure on the 3. Sect leader's token. Go ahead and say your piece. To it or him is the same thing. Zhua Fan dangled the token. You know what this thing does, no? So go back and report if you want. Humph. While I'll report your defiance for authority. See whose head will fall first. The 3 fiends' faces sank and lamented on the inside. Xiaoyue, why did you give it to him? What kind of venerables would they be if they had to listen to Zhua Fan now? Chapter 607, Zombie Pill. Chapter 607, Zombie Pill. The girls there giggled, seeing the grand coaching venerables of the elite area, so deflated some of the usually tough guys there trembled. And even the 3 ex-elites found it hard to stop laughing. What are you laughing at? We're discussing important matters here. Fiend glared at the lot, though it had the opposite effect. The fiends felt utterly stripped of respect. Zhua Fan chuckled along, chiding, You think Sect leader's token's a joke? Go ahead and laugh it up. Any more disrespect out of you, and you'll be crying next. Come, have a pill to lift your spirits. Zhua Fan presented a vial with a soothing smell as everyone came over and their faces brightened. Master, another 7th grade pill? Kuei Gang cheered, turning to the others in pride. See that? Stick with Master, and you'll have nothing to worry about. I've taken more pills these days than in the last decade, and not one of them was below 7th grade. The rest were excited, having gone to the labor office, which was being prepped for Double Dragon gathering. They came to know what true heaven on earth was. It used to be only the elite area having such privilege, making inner and outer sects feel like hell, gulping it down. Everyone looked smug. The fiends were red in the face and jittery. Coming over, they poked his shoulder. What's this? Give us some too, and we won't tell on you. Nope, none for you. Zhua Fan had a vague smile. Fiend was getting more annoyed by the second. Zhua Fan, where's that generous bribing style you used on Sect leader gone to? You now have the prime opportunity to give us one as well. We're venerables, for crying out loud. You're missing the point. The fact is, Zhua Fan's trademark evil smile was back in business. If you take it, who'll protect them? I certainly can't. Protect? Ah. The scream came from Kuei Gang. His face froze, his body shivered, and his movement looked robotic, accompanied by trembling. Only his eyes moved freely, and his tongue sun. What Kuei Lang was the next victim. Feeling his own body not listening to his commands, soon came everyone's turn. Everyone going to Double Dragon gathering, crying and freezing on the spot. The venerables jerked in fright, turning to the culprit, Zhua Fan. What is going on? Zhua Fan beamed, dangling the empty vial. This is no mere 7th grade pill, but a poison. Everyone had the same dumbfounded look. Zombie pill. It would stiffen your body and turn you to stone a month later. You're not serious. The poor saps were panicking, with Kuei Gang crying, Master, why? Didn't I tell you? One must be intent on killing, but never without his guard up. Why does no one listen to their master? Whoever told you a master will only give you nice things? Zhua Fan sneered. Their faces sank, looking at Zhua Fan like kicked puppies. He had such a homey look too. To invite them deeper into the trap, of course, compared to the glares they got from the venerables, Steward's insidious nature was much worse. Sharing poison with a smile, and they even thanked him for it. There were no dumber fools out there, that was for sure. Fiend grabbed Zhua Fan's chest. Why did you do it? Who will go to Double Dragon gathering with them dead? Are you going to fight by yourself? Zhua Fan dangled the token with utmost seriousness. Double Dragon gathering is fraught with perils. You know that. Going as they are will only increase their chance of dying. It's best to have them die here at my hand instead. You call that logic? Can't we live a day longer? All had bitter looks in their eyes, though it is not without hope. The zombie pill made you stiff and sapped your cultivation, but all you have to do is keep moving to delay the process. Hold on till Double Dragon Gathering, and I'll cure you. As for the rest, tough luck. Fan snickered. See this token? Sect leader appointed me as his representative. Your death will be for nothing, and your big connections wasted. No one will touch me and I can do anything. You might as well give up begging now. I won't bat an eye even if you all die. Hi, demon. They were all distressed and heartbroken while the fiends were stumped if Fan gave them a more deadly poison. They wouldn't let this one slide and might even take him from another sect spy. By using slow-acting poison, Fan was giving them a lesson, albeit cruel. Fan sent a warning to the three. They're like newborns and will need your constant monitoring. The trio nodded. Fan ran over to the other side and slapped his big perky butt. I'll be waiting for you a mile out. Do your best not to die just as you got out of the sect. Ha ha ha. He was gone the next second, leaving red tomatoes behind, gnashing their teeth as they made a jerky step forward. It was like having the whole world on their shoulders, moving at snail pace, but nothing compared to the rage. Steward, you'll have another thing coming if you think we'll just drop dead. Tough talk for sure. But their body hardened so much that they only moved 1 meter in 15 minutes. The venerables felt like crying. I get that you want to train them, but couldn't you have picked a faster method? Even infants stumbled around faster than them. Just when are we supposed to get there? In decades. Fan was chilling in his spot, though he fed them the zombie pill to petrify their flesh and force them into overcoming their limits. Once overcoming it, they'd move, then stiffen again, and would have to go further still. On and on it went, toughening their bodies and veins in months that would take decades for others. Fan thought of giving it a shot as well, though it came with a biggie. He needed a guardian angel in this moment of weakness in their states. Being weaker than an infant would get them to drop dead from anything. He, a lone operator, had no way of taking the same route. Meanwhile, the other sects got ready for Double Dragon Gathering. The back mountain of Mystical Heaven Sect was a towering hunk of rock, covered in biting winds and eternal snow. It was here a woman walked at leisure with a white sword towards a cave. She bowed. Senior sister, I am going to Double Dragon Gathering. Thank you for everything you have done for me in the past few years. The wind fluttered her dress, the snow pricking her cheeks. The time for Double Dragon Gathering came at long last. I wonder if he will come as well. A sigh came from the cave. Ching Chung, you represent me by wielding permafrost. Can I ask something of you? Anything, senior sister. Ching Ching bowed. Another sigh followed. If you meet any from the demon scheming sect, please go easy on them. I'd hate to see him hurt from my blade, although the blade is now with you. Yes, he brought me to this state, yet also made me let go of all regrets. A pleasant voice came. Chapter 608. Every Sect's Actions. Chapter 608. Every Sect's Actions. Bang! In a damp and dark hall, lit only by a few torches on the sides, the shrieks of specters sent chills on one's spine. In the center of it all sat a table, 2 meters long and 1 meter wide, shaking and creaking as a middle-aged man slammed hard. Say that again. You just got trashed around by a mere laborer? The buffed man stared at the trio. This is an outrage, an insult. Third young Master Han and second young Master Han's eyes met, but it was the former who spoke. Father, Laborer Fan is far more than he seems. I even doubt if there's anyone that can oppose him among his peers. Sect leader, I can attest to this, having bore witness to second young master's crushing defeat. Elder Mo bowed. The big man flicked his sleeve and roared. All I'm hearing are excuses. You lost, and not just to anyone, but a lower 3 sect's disciple. You threw away all my honor. Tell me, son, how should you be dealt with? I trust father's judgment. Second young Master Han lowered his pained face. The hard man said, since you can't take a single hit, that makes one of your hands useless. Should I relieve you of it? Father, please, don't make second brother handicapped. Third young Master Han was nervous. The man eyed him with an icy glare. For those about to enter the ethereal stage, the body has lost its use. A mere arm will be nothing more than decoration. While I can let you keep it, you will have to endure 49 days on the burning pillar. You decide. Third young Master Han was ashen, looking at his second brother in worry. 49 days under scorching heat? It was akin to being burned alive. Third young Master Han cupped his hands to plead some more. But second young Master Han stepped in. Father, I choose the burning pillar. Second young Master Han bowed. The man nodded, appeased. That's how my son should act. A man must take responsibility for his failures. Wait. A glum-faced youth entered. Elder Imo bowed at once. Eldest young master. The youth nodded and addressed the tough man. Father, brother failed because the gap between them was too great. It's not his fault. But he lost to a lower 3 Sect's disciple. Even lower than that, a laborer. What of it? The youth showed no fear in face of his father's mask of rage. A hero can come from anywhere. Strength is all that matters, not status. Losing to the strong is no dishonor. And with the approaching Double Dragon gathering, punishing second brother will harm his performance. We will then become the last among the middle 3 sects and the demon scheming sect's target. Elder Imo was clear on his strength, and father knows he has the qualities of a middle 3 sect's genius. Status isn't everything. The towering man relinquished a nod. In view of Double Dragon gathering fast approaching, the punishment shall be postponed. Further evaluation will be given in light of your performance at the gathering. Thank you, father. Second young Master Han cupped his hands. The man nodded and left through a side door. Pausing just before leaving, Eldest, what is your opinion of this sudden laborer from the demon scheming sect? A worthy opponent turning the boring Double Dragon gathering into something interesting. Ha ha ha. The youth snickered. The man nodded and left. I have no hope of you getting us in the superior 3 sects, but the least you can do is maintain our position. In case the demon scheming sect does have the power to rise above its station, we'd better let others take the fall. Father is clearer than anyone on what this laborer signifies. The youth grinned and turned to his brothers. In a valley, a youth flashed in the open. He wore a blue robe, his eyes delicate and his aura strong. Taking a deep breath to collect himself, he laughed before the stone door. Junior brother, I'm out of seclusion. What are you waiting for? Double Dragon gathering waits for no man. Senior brother, you're a fine talent coming out so soon. You aren't called the best talent in Western lands for nothing. A sigh came from beyond. Senior brother, I just need a little more time, and I will catch up. The senior brother chuckled. Is that how a junior brother acts? Teasing your senior brother? I'm not that shameless to call myself the best talent in Western lands with you around. Chapter 609. Overgrown Town. Chapter 609. Overgrown Town. 1-2-1-2. On a bright day on a wide road, a group of people had taken to a particular type of walking. They twisted with every movement, giving their all as they undertook the sheer ordeal that was walking. From how stiff they were, they looked like polio patients. They were none other than demon scheming sects disciples whom Zhua Fan cheated by making them take the zombie pill. What started off as a dozen disciples on this journey was now less than 10. Though their stiff faces showed unprecedented resolve, they saw with their own eyes how their teammates turned into solid rock and how the wind carried away their ashes. None wanted the same horrid fate to happen to them. For God's sake, Zhua Fan is savage. Once you stop moving, you're dead. Kuei Lang took another step. Practically hearing his bones and muscles creaking, he turned a worried look behind. Ganger, how are you holding up? Kuei Gang was overwhelmed. Dad, it's been 10 days without my cultivation. I can hardly hold on. I just want to rest. Now I know what they say about a life worse than death. The rest nodded their sorrowful faces, cursing Zhua Fan's lineage as far as they could take it. Kuei Lang gnashed his teeth. Ganger, keep going. Any break will kill you. You saw it yourself what happens to those that stop. I know, Dad. Master is so vicious. He expects us to go like this to the Double Dragon gathering before curing us. Kuei Gang gulped, his eyes tearing. Kuei Lang sighed. He only held on so far for his son, or he'd be long since scattered among the clouds. Zhua Fan and the Venerables watched over them from a cliff with ease of mind. Fiend Yang frowned though. Isn't this enough? So many died already, and if this keeps up, there'll be no point in going. I'll just go alone then. Besides, my word is gold. I'll stay by it to the end and let them endure it until we get there. All those who die are just too weak. Fan snorted. Look at them. Aren't they getting a steady pace by now? Just like plain walking. Now that's progress. You call a habit progress? The trio shook their heads, worried at the disciples' weary and sweaty brows. They're nothing but mortals now, and having gone through such an ordeal for so long, they're at their limit. A break will do them good. Are you sure? Fan raised an eyebrow, his smile creepy. The day of Double Dragon Gathering draws near. The trio eyed him, and were puzzled. It was like staring at a whitewashed wall, but without all the emotion. Fiend thought Fan was being particularly vague. What's wrong with it? Taking a half-day break won't be a problem. All right then, we'll do it your way. Fan beamed and looked at the far-off town. How about we rest there? The trio nodded skeptically. Why is he so kind all of a sudden? Fan flashed before the tormented souls, shouting, Seeing your great progress these days, the venerables pleaded for you, and I relented in letting you rest in the town just up ahead. Truly? They all lit up. The harsh 10-day-long journey took its toll on their bodies, teetering on the edge of collapse. Steward's words were music to their ears. Don't dally then. Chop chop. They sped up on the spot. The dangling carrot was too enticing to give up. While still stiff as wood, they were now resembling humans. At least an hour passed, and they arrived at the town, though it was desolate. There was not a person in sight, nor any signs that they were there. The stillness from even the lack of animals was eerie. A ghost town. The venerables sensed something and frowned. Fan, this is no place to tarry. We better leave soon. Take it easy. We're only gonna rest our legs. Fan looked around. Let's look for a tavern and leave these now mortals to rest their laurels. The others nodded. Steward, you're finally showing some compassion. All they got from him was a wide smile as he led them to a tavern. The inside was just as desolate as the town. With dust settled on the chairs, there's no one here. We'll help ourselves then. Fan smiled. The rest sighed. They were too stiff to even twitch. It took so long for them to get here, yet not a single servant was there to serve them. Oh, the humanity. Unfortunately, they just had to make do with doing these things themselves. Or were they about to ask Steward and the venerables? The disciples dragged their weary bodies into the role of laborers once more. Doing it in the sect or outside was the same as being fated for this job. Everyone shared a forced smile. Fan and the venerables took a table, releasing their discerning field only to find it devoid of any movement. Still, this place is strange. By the looks of it, it feels like a demonic cultivator's handiwork. It must have been recent too, going by the furniture's state. Half a month at most. Fan knocked on the table. The venerables nodded. Fiend said, I can only hope he's no longer here. He doesn't stick his nose in our matters, and neither will we. Let him try and then he'll get it. Humph, Fan cut in. The others snickered. The demonic cultivator must be a rogue one that steals others' cultivation. Without resources, all he can do is resort to these despicable and revolting acts. Unlike them, who had a backer, stopping them from wiping out towns whenever they felt like it. It would only get worse as they'd be hunted down by righteous cultivators. Unlike rogues, demonic cultivators from a sect had discipline and self-restraint. They were less fearful from the moment they knew they were dealing with a rogue cultivator. How strong could he be when he lacked resources? All he could do was pick on mortals. He stood no chance against these sectarians. Though there were exceptions, like the really talented rogue cultivators, they were an extreme minority. Cheers. We have overcome the first training. With the cups filled and food served, Fan sported an extra-wide grin as he toasted. The others replied in kind. Cheering and enjoying the respite after the meal, Fan slapped the table. Time to go. Whoosh. Tried as they might to get up, they couldn't. They were back to where they started. Stiff as a rock. What's going on? Fiend asked. Fan grinned all-knowingly. Didn't I tell you? Once you take the zombie pill, you have to keep moving, or you'll freeze in place. Now that you rested your legs, you're back where you started. You've got to be joking. The victims looked sullen and crushed. They just got walking figured out, and now they were back to square one. The agony and the cruelty of it all waiting to be relished again had them all wish for a swift and easy death. Steward, you duped us. Kue Lang howled. Fan's grin widened. When, pray tell? It's the venerables who wanted you to rest. I warned you, but did you listen? Hey, don't shift blame. You didn't try to stop it either. Yeah, you said we could stop, but we didn't think we'd bounce back to the starting line. How can Kue Lang complain? Zhuo Fan scratched his nose like a damn rogue as he admitted it. Yep, I did it on purpose. What are you going to do about it? They all fell speechless. How damn rotten and vile can you be? If we could hold a sword, we'd have run you through by now and hanged your head. Every single one of them held Zhuo Fan in absolute hatred then. A red blade flashed straight for Zhuo Fan's throat. We were only thinking of doing it, right? Chapter 610. By. Chapter 610. By. Whoosh. The burning red sword was right at Zhuo Fan's throat. The crippling bloodlust made everyone's skin crawl. Zhuo Fan's heart tightened, raising his right hand to catch it as it screeched to a halt. He noticed the other end of the sword was held by a 20-year-old dainty girl with big eyes. She unleashed a sharper and deadlier blow than her fifth-layer radiant stage cultivation led one to believe, not that it was of any damn use against Zhuo Fan. Squinting, Zhuo Fan's hand shook, and the girl was sent flying into a table. Zhuo Fan held the sword proper, his icy eyes staring at the attacker. The three fiends of hell snickered from behind, drinking as if nothing happened. No radiant stage cultivator, even a sneaky one, would get the better of Zhuo Fan. The trio was enjoying the unexpected attack like a good act, commenting on how the lass was weak, arrogant, and overconfident. Clang. Knocking on the red blade, Zhuo Fan sized it up, his mouth grinning in an evil way. 6th grade spiritual weapon, and made quite well too. A shame the owner fails to wield it. Why you? The lass glared with hatred. Zhuo Fan had a smile for her instead. Missy, what on earth are you doing attacking me out of the blue? Especially weak as you are. Ha ha ha. The audience laughed at the comedy, even the stiff disciples, mocking the girl's stubborn streak. The lass spared no hatred for anyone other than Zhuo Fan. That's my line. Who the hell are you? Why did you take our young master? Hand him over. Took your young master? Zhuo Fan and the venerable shared a glance. We just got here 2 hours ago. We don't even know who you are, and you say we took someone? The lass wasn't buying, liar. Do you see anyone else around? If not you, then who? Despicable demonic cultivators. You all are beyond saving for not even admitting your faults. That touched a nerve in the rest, and it was now their turn to glare at her. Kue Lang's side would have been tearing her to pieces by now, except for one tiny detail. They were frozen stiff. Zhuo Fan shrugged, pointing at the lass. See that? That's a righteous cultivator for you. Self-righteous and cocky. What would you guys do if a mere lass would spout such rubbish? Kill her, waste her, torture her, peel her flesh, force on. Yeah, but save it in your condition, all right? Seeing them so gung-ho, Zhuo Fan cooled them off with a grin. Don't you worry about anything. I have my ways. Why not have her join your club? The kids' eyes glittered, their smiles widening. Steward Zhuo is the best. Yeah, let her get stiff like us, then die as a rock. Kue Lang snickered. Sharing one's suffering with another always makes one happier. Though in this case, it was just plain mean since it dragged her into this torture. Zhuo Fan turned to the girl, his smile widening. She shivered for no apparent reason and panicked. What are you doing? Me? Just giving you a taste of a demonic cultivator's handiwork. Hi. Zhuo Fan loomed over the lass, his smile disturbing. The wee girl shivered in fear, losing her tough front the instant she noticed the twinkle in his eyes. Gulping, her eyes darted around for an out, and she bolted outside the tavern. Zhuo Fan bamfed in her face and made her gasp. To make double sure, he also clamped down on her shoulder, the cracking sound earning a cry and a grimace. Evil smiles were a trend today, as everyone bore it. Wallowing in others' misfortune, Zhuo Fan held a pill with the other hand and grinned, inching it closer to the lass's dainty mouth. Girl, take it and you won't feel pain, since dumb people are too stiff in the head to feel it to begin with. Be nice and big bro here will take good care of you. Hi. What the hell was that? Did you do the same to the young master? The lass saw the pill with fear. Zhuo Fan didn't bother explaining and just laughed. Ha. You'll know soon enough the meaning of hell on earth. The girl shuddered and cried. Help, senior sister. Help me. Go ahead, scream. No one's gonna save you now. Ha ha ha. The pack of wild beasts being under Fan's thumb for so long could only find joy in seeing others suffer the same treatment. 3 fiends of hell were beaming as well. They hadn't been this happy in weeks. It's just a pit stop anyway to liven the mood before we resume our journey. Stop. Chapter 611, Drunkard. Chapter 611, Drunkard. Spill it, old man. Where are you keeping our people? Shui Ruahua sat on a bench in an inn, with a woman in blue and 10 more people next to her. She was glaring at a tied-up red-nosed old man. The grandpa had no care, his head swooning and wearing a silly smile. "Gee, give me wine." "Screw you." Shui Ruahua snapped. "It's been 5 days, damn drunkard. No matter how much you have drunk, you should be sober by now. Quit your faking, or I'll have to get serious." The threat went right over the old man. Swaying all the same and saying wine again and again, rolling her eyes, Shui Ruahua raised her hand. She was going to slap some sense into the drunkard. One to break bones. It was then that she heard something from outside. 1, 2. 1, 2-inch. Shui Ruahua tensed and glanced at the woman in blue. "Go see what it is." Shui Ruahua said. The woman looked out the window to see a bunch of zombies, taking one painful step after another their way. In the lead were 4 totally average people, while at the side were the ever-familiar Chu Qingqing and Danner leading them and chatting. The woman in blue jerked as she witnessed junior sister Qingqing's bright smile. She reported, "Senior sister Ruahua, it's junior sister Qingqing returning. Though she brought a bunch of weirdos. They're all so stiff. She must have caught someone suspicious. Open the barrier and let them in." Shui Ruahua brightened. The drunkard shook his head. "More innocent people are dragged into this. Such a heavy sin. So you can listen, now stop faking. Once they come in, I'll deal with you." Shui Ruahua sent one last glare and had the rest watch him as he and the woman in blue went outside. The drunkard chuckled as his head swayed. How unbearably naive. Any longer, and the kid would have played me to death. The inn's barrier opened, and the girls walked toward the stiff guys and said, "Junior sister Qingqing, did you find the bastard's lair? You got so many captives and even went so hard on them. They're barely alive." "Who are you calling a dead captive? They may be crippled a tiny bit, sure, but you are not to mock them. Talk about discrimination." Zhua Fan growled thanks to Shui Ruahua's words. The zombies were in lower spirits, if possible, looking at Zhua Fan with dejection and bitterness. "Steward Zhua, you want to talk? You did this to us." Zhua Fan shrugged, while Shui Ruahua froze. "Why, you're—" "Oh, senior sister Ruahua, I forgot to make the introduction." Chu Qingqing flowed next to Zhua Fan and grabbed his hand, presenting with utmost joy. "He is Zhua Fan, an old friend from Tianyu. He now represents the demon scheming sect in Double Dragon Gathering. You met once. He heard of our troubles and came to help." Zhua Fan snatched his hand back with an odd face, blurting, yes, right? We just stumbled into each other while resting here. We don't care about your business. You guys, keep moving and go in, or any slowpoke will be stiff for life." Zhua Fan went next to his victims and instructed. Kue Leng mourned his plight. "Steward Zhua, we'll never rest again in our lives. You'll go in either way. With how unnatural this place is, you'll be sitting ducks outside, especially in your weak states. Let's just go then." Lucia sighed. Zhua Fan turned frosty. "That's for me to decide. I'm the boss here." Lucia was outraged. "Fool. Steward Zhua hardly cares about women, and now that he found one that took his fancy, he'll never leave. You can't even see this?" Chi Changlong glared. Lucia was stubborn. "The sect rule says you can dual cultivate but not sprout feelings. Did you forget? The rules are made for the strong. You have seen it, and know it all too well." Chi Changlong snorted. Lucia sighed, and the others nodded. Feeling the malcontent in their voices, Zhua Fan was at an impasse on what to do. Not that he gave a hoot for demon scheming sect's rules, but they did have one he agreed on. Feelings were a deadly poison to a demonic cultivator. Chu Qingqing saw the sullen Zhua Fan and chuckled. Whether from loss or disappointment, she kept her face straight though. "He doesn't like meeting new people." Chu Qingqing went inside, ignoring Zhua Fan. Shui Ruahua was stumped by her bright yet painful smile. They all soon went inside, and the barrier was restored. The fiends rolled their eyes. They didn't give a damn about this, but since Zhua Fan did, they had to oblige. The mystical heaven sect must be relaxed to send the disciples without elders. Fiend Yang noticed the cultivations around and smirked. Shui Ruohua sighed. We had 3 elders with us, but the demonic cultivator captured them, leaving us alone. My, how the mighty mystical heaven sect has fallen, to even have its elders captured. Ha ha ha. The fiends mocked. The zombies joined in mystical heaven sect's group was furious. Have you demons come to help or kick us when we're down? You were better off not coming at all. Zhuofan said, Now, you might be captured next as well. Ugh. Fiend Yang groaned. Zhuofan, what are you doing helping outsiders? Don't you know girls are like clothes while brothers are your hands and feet? Zhuofan's face fell, while the people from mystical heaven sect looked startled. How tough is he? While we fawn over elders, he has venerables fawn over him. An unnatural and disturbing reversal. Ha ha, demonic cultivators are always funny. Running your mouth, then contradicting yourselves. Since girls are clothes, you might as well sell your brothers out to get some. Why all the hesitation? The fiends were annoyed. The dumb speaker was none other than a drunkard wearing a taunting smile. Old fool. Say that again. Fiend Yang pointed at him. The old man belched and mocked. Am I wrong? Sure. Girls are like clothes and brothers your hands. But look around you. There are plenty of guys without hands. Yet have you ever seen someone skipping around buck naked? Shui Ruohua's side giggled. It was the first time since they captured the old man that he defended their dignity. Fiend Yang's forehead sported an extra thick vein. Zhuofan interfered though. And he is. Seeing the town suspicious, we investigated and only found him around. So we captured him for interrogation, but he never talked. Having helped her once, Shui Ruohua found it natural to explain. Fiend Yang grinned and glared at the old guy. Having found the excuse to get back at him, leave him to me. I'll loosen his mouth. Soon he'll be begging to talk. Hi. The others chilled at his tone. Zhuofan blocked him and stared, before speaking with respect towards the old man. Senior, we have been most rude. Please forgive our transgression. The rest were dumbfounded. Does he know him? The old man jerked. What's the kid playing at? Chapter 612. Confusion. Chapter 612. Confusion. You know him? Chu Qingcheng turned her soft eyes to Zhuofan. Zhuofan shook his head. Never seen him in my life. Why then do you show such respect? It's not like you. Chu Qingcheng asked. Demon scheming Sect's gang was most intrigued. If Steward never cursed an old man openly, it was already showing respect. Zhuofan shrugged, looking around before fixing his gaze on mystical heaven Sect's side. You said everyone in this town was captured, and only he remained, right? Yes, when we arrived, it was bustling, but over a few days, it became like this. After much searching, we only found him. Shui Ruohua said. Zhuofan sighed and pointed. Tell me, what is his cultivation? None whatsoever. Isn't he just an average old man? Everyone shook their heads. Zhuofan grinned. Is it that he has no cultivation that you're mocking? Or maybe he's so high up the realms you can't even sense it? What? All he got was gasps of disbelief. There were even ethereal stage experts here, yet they still couldn't tell. Just how strong was this old coot? You can tell then? Shui Ruohua asked. Nope. Zhuofan shook his head. And that's what makes it frightening. Everyone rolled their eyes and eased up with Shui Ruohua glaring, then stopped spouting bullshit. You got us scared for a second there. We messed with an expert. Ha ha ha, messing or not. It depends on your fortune and the old man's mood. Zhuofan sported a vague grin. You said it yourself. Everyone in the town was gone except for this elderly man. That means 2 things. Either this elder escaped, and the culprits disdained going after him, or the elder is so powerful the culprits had no way of dealing with him. Yet you jumped right to accusing him without so much as a clue how it happened. This offense, I fear. Mystical heaven Sect's side hearts tightened. But he's so plain. How is he supposed to be a world expert? Does that mean we're dead? From the pearly white smile the old guy was giving, Shui Ruohua's side was panicking. Then Zhuofan gave another bow. His tone so annoying he got mystical heaven Sect's side fuming. Elder, see that? We've only met by chance here. We don't know them. Sir needs to be clear about the guilty parties here. If you have any gripes, Take it out on them without any restraint. We'll just stay on the sideline, cheering you on. If you find us an eyesore, then we would gladly leave. Shui Ruahua's side had dark faces. Did you come to help or dig us a bigger hole? Demon scheming Sect's side laughed it up, Shuafan. Get lost already, and stop spinning wild tales and making it worse for us. Damn vile demon spawns, they're all evil. None will help us for real. Shui Ruahua spat and Danner followed demon scheming Sect's gang showed a nasty smile. Like second nature to them, Shuafan huffed. Think I want to butt in? I only. He peeked at Chu Qingqing only to see her looking at him with lovely eyes. He swished his head away at once, his heart a mess. Ha ha ha. The OL drunkard laughed, nodding. Nice one, boy. You got me. Unlike these softies, let me give you a warning as a reward. Go now while you're not involved. They have set the trap and are about to reap the joys of the hunt soon enough. You have no chance against his sharp mind. Leave while you can. The rest were startled. Shuafan was right. As if to cement his theory, the drunkard flexed, and the ropes binding him fell to pieces just like that. Even Shuafan shuddered. Just the fact the rope was dealt with without the single sign of Yuan Qi leaking showed he had reached a godly level in raw power. Such precise control pointed at high cultivation and heart. The old man was far worse than he thought, and Shuafan was stern stretching about. The old man chuckled. Where's the wine? How can this be an inn without a drink? Venerable Fiend Yang, take out the wine you took from the tavern and offer it to Senior, Shuafan said. Fiend Yang complied, his brow soaked. He realized, at last, the old man was a monster. So much that his skills looked like parlor tricks by comparison. Then came the crushing regret. What's wrong with me? Why had I been taunting the old guy? He just has to be petty, and my poor life would be gone. Shui Ruahua's side was struck by abject fear. They were the ones who messed with the monster most. The old guy chuckled. It's far too late for regrets, though. Do you know how all who messed with me ended up? Ha ha ha. He scared the kids, though Shuafan didn't buy it. Sir shouldn't scare the kids, they did it out of ignorance. If Sir were to nitpick, they'd be goners ages ago. I can see Sir doesn't stoop to their level, seeing their naive nature. I must say, I admire Sir's jovial nature in playing with people's feelings. Ha ha, nice one, kid. You turned it around so it'll make me look bad if I do strike them. The old man's eyes glittered. Since you gave me some wine, I'll give this one for free. Leave now. You won't stand a chance if you stay. The old man then walked out of the inn, and everyone jumped out of his way creek. The brilliant sun shone through the open door, and the old man sighed. So late. There's no escape now. Kid, you're on your own. This had nothing to do with you, alas. This is fate. The old man went through the barrier like nothing. The rest gasped. They captured a monster who could cross barriers without a sign, meaning his cultivation must have reached the pinnacle. See that? If not for our steward Zhua reminding you of your offense, you'd be dead. Thank him already. Kuei Lang shouted at the girls from Mystical Heaven Sect. They all stood dumbfounded. Then thanked Shuafan with their eyes. Fiend Yang held Shuafan's shoulder, reproaching, I told you not to get involved. You were this close to getting instantly killed by a worldly expert. I almost peed my pants from fear. Got that? Muddled kid. Shoo. Shuafan gestured and pointed outside. Fog is coming. The others saw the sun covered in thick fog and the world darkening. Fiend Yang asked, what's odd about evening mist? True, but have you ever seen a fog that blocks divine sense? They all released their discerning field to find nothing in its range. The fog was eerie, stopping everyone's discerning field dead in its tracks. Shuafan's mood was heavy. The old man was right. We're stuck here now. Chapter 613. An Old Demon's Experience. Chapter 613. An Old Demon's Experience. What do we do now? Shui Ruahua turned to Shuafan. As did the others, all that happened cemented their trust in Shuafan. Even Mystical Heaven Sect's group. Shuafan answered, know thyself and your enemy, and you shall be ever victorious. So before we try tackling the problem, we must know what we're dealing with. I sensed something wasn't right about this place, but didn't have the details. We clear this up, and then we can act. Shuafan went back inside with the rest while the barrier grew smaller from the thick fog, sizzling. It's like this. In the glum inn, they all sat around a table with a single candle. Kuei Lang's gang was not included, warming up at the side to keep the blood flowing and the stiffness at bay. They added the musical element to the situation by the cracking of bones and snapping of muscles. An eerie vibe. All in all, Shui Ruohua felt a shiver on her back, doing her utmost not to watch those creepy things crackling. We set off for Double Dragon Gathering a fortnight ago. As we passed through here, we stopped at a tavern, where we met a red-haired youth with sinister eyes, a demonic cultivator, no doubt. It's definitely the work of demonic cultivators. Zhuofan and the Fiend shared a glance. The youth was pushy with our sisters, so young master shouted at him, which made him angry. Unable to do anything since we had 3 elders with us, he left. What we took as fear turned out to be a plan for the next morning. Everyone in town was gone without a trace. The elders urged us to leave, but young master was gone as well? Zhuofan asked. Shui Ruohua grieved. Yes, young master is weak from illness. And now that he's gone, we're worried sick. We looked everywhere but found nothing, while the elders vanished one after the other as well. Every time we went searching, we got fewer and fewer. All we could do was set up a barrier and search only during the day. Playing cat and mouse. Zhuofan called out what the fiends were thinking. Shui Ruohua asked. What's that? It's a game. A cat plays with the mouse once it catches it rather than eating it right away, relishing in its victim's every expression of agony. Zhuofan grinned. Why would the culprits pick you out a couple a day when they had no trouble taking every townsfolk and your elders? Taking you all prisoners would be far too easy. But instead, they let you experience dread like no other, living in fear day after day. That's playing cat and mouse. Mystical Heaven Sect's heart sank and nodded. Zhuofan sighed. I used to play this game when I got bored, but now it lost its thrill. Haha, heroes do the same. We used to mess around as well, but ever since becoming venerables, we didn't have the time and lost interest. Fiend Yang laughed. To be frank, back in the day I'd find myself an eyesore and mess around with him for kicks. The 4 nodded and laughed. Shui Ruohua's side was sullen. Sickos. Humph. No demonic cultivator is any good. You're all vile for toying with someone's life. Danner reproached while the 4 stayed silent. Kuei Lang felt the need to answer, crying next to the lass, damn right. You are all so evil, doing this to us. I can't take it anymore. Oh, there's someone wise among demonic cultivators? Danner looked shocked and amazed, but then felt the need to strangle him by what she heard. Can you stop with the peeling, flaying, and whatnot? How fun is that anyway? Is it fun wasting time over nothing? I just knew you're all lost causes. Danner wailed. Zhuofan's side laughed. He sure liked poking fun at the lass. Girly, even demonic cultivators have gentlemen and thugs. Kuei Lang here is in the latter category. Unlike us men of culture and refinement, savoring the person's prolonged agony, relishing their every cry, ha ha ha. Zhuofan's group laughed along with each other, making Danner feel worse as she hugged Chu Qingqing for comfort. Sister, how can humans be like this? Ha ha ha. Didn't I tell you they were bad? Learn to accept it. Chu Qingqing snapped a glare Zhuofan's way. Zhuofan quibbled with an arched eyebrow. Why are you looking at me? I'm only helping some panicky sisters, young master, on account of the happy times back then. Though I reckon he's dead by now. So you admit it now? Chu Qingqing beamed at him with a warm gaze, skipping over the life of a poor man on the line here. She went straight to the 2's comings and goings. Zhuofan spoke with pride. Of course. First things first, the kid loves playing around, with a calm mind and sharp intuition. Or he'd have snuffed you all out the minute you butted into his play instead of taking one a night. He took your crippled young master to trap you here, and let him have his fun at your expense. You are not to talk bad about young master. He is only ill. You said it yourself, he's in poor health, so what's it to me? Zhuofan's voice cut Danner's sharp reprimand on the spot. Letting her choke on her words, Danner turned a pleading look to Chu Qingqing, but she giggled. Steward Zhua is so wise and experienced in the ways of the world. As a senior, I can tell with ease what his damn game is. Just how many times have we done it in our days? Fiend Yang replied to Zhuofan in pride. So true, and the kid sure feels like an expert in his games. Having no setbacks so far, his heart must be brimming with pride and confidence. We've gone through too many hellish matters to keep our inner child naive and playful. That's why I've been saying we no longer play these games. We're better off cultivating our strength. Zhuofan nodded sagely. The kid is green at heart, making his pride leave holes in his grand plan. Shui Ruohua watched in absent shock how these devilish people unraveled everything she had to admit. Against some toying demonic cultivators, these old veterans right here were the best men for the job. Unlike them, losing their heads the instant young master was gone and playing further in the enemy's hand. Fiends aside, why was it the young Zhuofan who gave her the feeling he was more shrewd and sharp than these oldies? It gave Zhuofan an air of mystery, deadly for young maidens such as herself. Zhuofan was like a throne buried under the sea she just had to uncover. That settles it. Zhuofan-eyed everyone. The guy must have pushed you close to insanity these 2 weeks. He cleared the town to set the mood and give him an edge in achieving his goal. It was just then we walked in, and an ignorant lass saw my stiffies and jumped to conclusions in fear that I was the culprit. So she ran at me like a crazy broad with pointy metal. You're the crazy one. Danner bit back. Zhuofan smiled. No one crazy would have seen the 3 ethereal stage experts around me, yet you just came on stab in. Are your eyes for decoration, fool? Sister Qingqing. He's mocking me. Danner whined and Chu Qingqing smiled, patting her shoulder. She then eyed Zhuofan. I'm curious though, what's up with them? Just like you, disobedient. And now their punishment is my joy? Zhuofan showed his pearly whites. Mystical Heaven Sect's gang shuddered. Looking at the stiff group, all demonic cultivators are vile and cruel. This was worse than them being toyed with. Chapter 6:14. Captured. Chapter 6:14. Captured. Chu Qingqing gave him a long look and smiled. I know your style, so save it. You've been in the Luo clan for so many years, and not once have you used your evil tendencies on them. Zhuofan, she has you down pat. Now that she mentions it, you never were mean to your people in the sect either. I can see why you are with her, ha ha ha, so you must be close. Fiend Yang looked from Chu Qingqing to Zhuofan with a knowing smile. Zhuofan's face fell, glared at Fiend Yang, and then said, desperate times call for desperate measures. Staying any longer will lead to our doom. It's better we leave at once. What about young master and the elders? We can't just leave them. Shui Ruohua cried. Fiend Yang mocked her for the idiot she was. Stay here and let the guy play you like a fiddle. While leaving, we'll make him sour and force his hand. We'll draw him out, turning the tables. If you can't see even this logic, Mystical Heaven Sect is hopeless. Shui Ruohua lowered her flushed face. Fight fire with fire. In this case, demonic cultivators against demonic cultivators. They have more experience and should listen to them. Shui Ruohua cupped her hands. I leave it all to you. Then let's... SSS. Sizzling cut off Zhuofan's words as the fog slipped in through the cracks everywhere he looked, like a demon's claw, ready to maim everyone. Flustered and jumped back, looking apprehensive. What about the barrier? How did the fog slip in? Shui Ruohua turned to Zhuofan. She found this man the only one reliable here, despite being a stranger. Zhuofan explained. Didn't the rest get taken at night? Yes. Shui Ruohua replied. Zhuofan sighed. The guy wants to take initiative, taking us all before leaving. What? Why then? Is it in the evening? It's not the right time, Zhuofan mulled. Have any of your disciples been captured lately? Shui Ruohua frowned and shook her head. No. Not since we set up the barrier. Ha ha, the guy is brilliant. You saw it yourself. Your barrier is useless. He had his own reasons for staying his hands so far. Zhuofan's eyes sharpened. Did any disciples vanish while you had the elder tied up? Shui Ruohua pondered. You're right, there were none. Does that mean it's the old man's doing and not the youth's? What utter nonsense. The elder could have snapped your necks at any time. Zhuofan sighed. The guy must have been afraid of the elder, but that variable is now gone and he's free to act. Shui Ruohua and the rest were speechless. Never for the life of them would have concluded the same guy they had tied up was their lucky charm, and now the charm just flew out the door. If only we knew, we'd have treated the mister with respect. How can we be so blind? Shui Ruohua's gang was wallowing in self-pity. Zhuofan picked up on it at a glance. He turned to the encroaching fog with a frown. What's done is done. Stop feeling sorry for yourselves and get upstairs. We need to put some distance from the fog. Fan pulled Chu Qingqing's exquisitely soft hand and was first to go. Chu Qingqing gave him a look and let him take her fine hand with a brilliant smile. He's always cold to me, but at least he has me in his heart. Steward Zhua, what about us? The rest followed after him almost all. Since Kuei Lang's gang was stiff as a board, they had a pretty tough time moving with any grace. He watched the incoming fog like a beast's maw, ready to tear into him. Kuei gang and Yuer pleaded, Master, can you release our poison until this is over? The fiends nodded. The situation was grave, and they had no time to dally with training. Fan thought, scoffed, ha ha ha, release you? My word is golden, and nothing in the world will ever change that. So you better put that energy into running and not waste words. The victims were in tears. There was no way they could escape in their stiff predisposition. All felt like death was better off. At least they wouldn't suffer as much. As the fog crept over, they gnashed their teeth and pushed on faster. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Spurred on by the imminent threat looming behind them, they gained speed, though hardly much, but faster than your average human. Fan raised an eyebrow. Well done. I think I didn't give them the proper incentive to work hard till now. Fan, this is no time for training. Who knows what the fog is hiding? I don't want to end up with only you at Double Dragon Gathering. At the incoming fog on the stiffies, the fiends were further on edge. Fan waved their worry away. All the more reason to let them test the waters. SSS. Even mystical heaven Sect's gang gasped at his cruelty. Is he human or devil? He's throwing his fellow comrades to the wolves. Won't they die? Such a savage demonic cultivator is a rarity. Fiend Yang eyed him. Why, you're crazy. What about Double Dragon Gathering? What if it fails? Lighten up. Didn't we guess the guy's intentions? He's only playing. I believe he'll only capture them, though I'm all a quiver on how he'll take them away. No matter how strong, wiping a town clean of its residents is harder than it looks. It's easier to kill them all. Fan's eyes glinted. This is the only way for us to leave through the fog. All switched to looks of adorations. His mind is so sharp, his heart steeled, able to keep calm in the most serious danger like this. Demon scheming Sect has brought up a true talent, so that's why the venerables defer to him. Fiend Yang wiped his brow. You're right. They'll be fine for a while. This tactic is so much better. I just forgot myself there. Save me. On cue, the wails of the first victim echoed through the inn. Kuei gang, the slowest slowpoke, got caught, letting out one single cry before vanishing. Fan's eyes took in everything with deadly calm. Ganger. Kuei Lang wailed at his son's misfortune, even charging right into the fog after him. His cry snuffed out the instant he touched the fog. The fog pressed on after the rest, swallowing the fearful prey. As they shouted, the scene drove an even more desperate fear in the survivors. Trembling as the fog went up the stairs, only Fan watched with a twitchy ear. Peculiar. The taken don't look like dead nor captives, so why can't we sense them? Chapter 6:15. Fiend Yang's Demise. Chapter 6:15. Fiend Yang's Demise. SSS. The eerie fog swallowed the stiffies and their cries in a jiffy. Now creeping in higher, the others were panicky, looking at Fan for a solution. Fiend Yang was sweating. I just can't tell what this thing is. Even ethereal stage experts will have a hard time passing through it. The people's hearts thumped in their chests. Where does that leave us, dead? Calm down and watch. Fan pulled Chu Qingqing higher. She followed him with a carefree smile, her eyes only seeing her man. The fiends were annoyed. Fan, you threw 10 disciples to the fog, yet you want more? We'll all soon end up dead. Take it easy. We didn't hear anything when the fog took them because they're caught. I'll save you as soon as I figure out this process. Fan waved his hand. The fiends were stumped. Us? What's that supposed to mean? Since I can't tell what's happening right now, I'll need more live subjects until I do. You decide who gets to go. I'll soon save you anyway. Fan raised an eyebrow. The fiends' faces twitched, cursing. Why the hell don't you try it yourself? I could die, rushing into the unknown. Fan taunted. You take me for a fool? You should die first, humph. Chu Qingqing giggled at the side. You don't want to go, so you're making others do it. Just like old times, You haven't changed one bit. The fiends were dumbstruck. And you're saying we are the fools? Of course not, just that among everyone here, I am the one with sharper eyes and can refine pills and raise barriers. What can you do? Only alive can I save you. While with me gone you'll soon follow. That leaves the crucial mission of testing the fog to you, while I wait behind in safety. Fan showed his trademark evil smile with an exasperating raise of the eyebrow. The trio nodded in the end. The damn kid is a pain, but why must he be so bloody, right? Leaving this place alive would only be possible through him and his expansive wisdom. The trio resigned themselves. But they'd be damned if they'd be the first to take this retarded option of dying. Their eyes swiveled to mystical heaven sect. With the fog creeping in and cutting our space, who'll go first? They all gulped, shaking their heads like their lives depended on it. It made one wonder which was worse, the fog or the three venerables' threat. Humph. You started this. Our disciples just fell victims, and now you're freaking grasping at straws? Get out there and test the fog. Fiend Yang shouted. Either you do it or I make you. Fiend Yang's aura exploded, flexing his fourth-layer ethereal stage cultivation on these hapless profound heaven disciples. Is this demon taking his anger on us? They shook there in their corner, inching back as the fog grew closer while watching the venerables in fear. They were stuck as to the right course of action. Please don't force them, seniors. I will go. Shui Ruahua stepped out with dignity, glancing at Fan with a plea. We got into this mess and I thank you for coming to our rescue. I only hope my sacrifice will be of help to you and my fellow disciples in leaving here alive. Fan nodded and gave a cold wave of his hand to get to it already. Quit dawdling and die already. I'll be sure to watch every second of it. Shui Ruahua lamented and sighed. He's so cold. A sinking feeling took hold of her heart. Chu Qingqing muttered, Senior sister, should I go instead? Whatever for? Fan frowned, his grip harder on her hand, sensing his care. Chu Qingqing's heart grew fuzzy. I've been under senior sister's care ever since I came to Mystical Heaven Sect. Now it's my turn to help. Junior sister, it is my duty as the leader of Mystical Heaven Sect's group. I have to do this. Shui Ruahua spoke with conviction and pride. Fan's eyes darted from her to Chu Qingqing and pointed at Fiend Yang. Neither, you will go? Screw you. You infatuated sap. Why should I go? Fiend Yang exploded. Fan shrugged. You're the ethereal stage expert here. I feel like wanting to see the fog's effect on one. Will it be the same as the rest, or you'll put up a fight? Is it toxic fumes or an array? Letting those weaklings go won't get me any answers. Fiend Yang's heart beat out of his chest, his face miserable, yet no way to retort. Turning to Fiend Gue and Fiendine, they found the walls much more interesting than him. The kid makes sense. You go. Fiend Yang, your sacrifice is much needed to show us brothers the way the two sold him out. And Fiend Yang was fuming. You rotten piece of you side with him and leave me to die? This is what I get for having you brothers for centuries. Venerable Fiend Yang, you won't be dying. Don't you trust me? Fan beamed. Fiend Yang sighed. Rather be safe than sorry, though it hardly makes a difference. If you can't get anything out of my going, you'll be following soon enough anyway. Besides, I survived double dragon gathering, so I can survive anything. Fiend Yang walked on with conviction. The rest admired him. These demonic cultivators are foul beyond reason, yet quite heroic when the need arises. Not like Mystical Heaven Sect's disciples, all shying from danger. More scared than a woman, it was the least respect they could give these foul miscreants. Whoosh. Fiend Yang struck the fog with a palm attack. The mighty blow boomed into the fog, yet had no effect whatsoever. Fiend Yang's heart tensed, giving the fog enough time to grab him. Just a touch was all it needed, and Fiend Yang cried, Fan, this is... Whoosh. His voice was cut off, and his body was engulfed in front of the shocked audience. Fiend Yang. The other two fiends shouted. A powerful expert like Fiend Yang fell just like nothing. What the hell is this thing? Fan's brows were tight in thought. This fog is not deadly by far, or it wouldn't leave its victim to even make a peep. By the looks of it, Fiend Yang found something. Maybe this thing prevents any sounds from escaping, holding them in place for the mastermind to tie them up. It's certain that no one inside is dead. just frozen and unable to speak. What matters is how to go in and save them. Fiend continued. The others rejoiced to learn the fog didn't take lives. Though vexed as to how to deal with it, it all came down to how to cross it without falling prey. Juafan's gaze drifted. Just what is this odd thing? Chapter 616. Array on Array. Chapter 616. Array on Array. The creepy fog drifted closer, making those that were too close turn slack and then swallow their saliva without so much as a peep. Every time it inched closer, it buried a deeper dread in the hearts of these people, making them scurry and shuffle further away even when they had no place to go. The only exception was Juafan, staring with a frown and ever hopeful for the tiniest hint that would help unravel this mystery. The fog's devouring continued unabated. Its struggling and erratic prey would halt all movements. Even their eyes glazed the instant they got close before sinking into the great white beyond. Juafan caught every minute expression and muttered, "It's so obvious now. The kid almost played me." "Did you find a way?" From Juafan's cocky outburst, Chu Qingqing smiled. The rest looked with hope, Fiending asking, "You know what this is?" "Sure. This thing's looks got us all fooled. This is no fog, nor is there any poison inside. Better yet, it doesn't exist." Juafan explained. Juafan snickered. "Recall our analysis of the guy? Haha, he is truly just playing around. He set up the fog to scare and confuse us before it swallowed us all up, when in fact, it's nothing but an expanding barrier, that of a bewildering array. Once inside it, you'll be taken by illusions and won't be able to escape regardless of being swallowed by it." So that's why. Fiend Yang's attack had no effect because it was empty to begin with. He must have come to the same conclusion when he shouted, but the illusion took hold just as he started. Fiend Gue figured it out as well. The same happened to all those who were taken. Their eyes dulled and didn't even cry as they were overcome by the illusions. But it sure is an impressive array for not even an ethereal stage expert to escape it. Despite being harmless, the fear still remained in the hearts of all remaining, since the array could deal with ethereal stage experts. They turned to Juafan with a pleading and tearful look. "What did we ever do to deserve this fate?" Juafan squinted at the fog still, muttering, "Not to worry, the guy ain't so tough. This array is definitely above 7th grade and quite intricate, but even that's not enough to take hold of an ethereal stage expert so fast. I bet." "What?" Shui Ruahua asked. Juafan had a nasty grin. He used a special way to raise its effect. "The most logical explanation is using sacred stones." "What?" Everyone cried. "But that's quite..." Juafan raised an eyebrow. "Of the entire Western lands, only the middle and superior 3 sects can have them. The middle 3 sects would get too little to waste like this. No elder in their right mind would throw them away on something as wasteful as an array. It only goes to show it's a demonic sect from the superior 3 sects. The number 1 demonic sect in Western lands, Hellion Flame Sect. Ha ha ha, quite the head you have on your shoulder, despite the low cultivation. You guessed it." A cackle echoed from the fog, startling the average disciple. Juafan grinned. "I was wondering what trick you used to take all townsfolk without a sound when it's just a mere illusion to make them leave by themselves. Humph, punk, you're not bad, the first to have seen through my little game. Though what good will that do against a 7th grade array set up with sacred stones? Nothing, that's what. Ha ha ha." While he mocked, the rest turned to Juafan, having given them a trickle of hope. Yet now he only had a cold smile. They took Juafan for being scared and their hearts sank. Only Chu Qingqing had endless faith and a cute smile for her man. Aren't you scared?" Juafan smiled at her. Chu Qingqing shook her head, her eyes only for him. "I'll never be scared with you around." Juafan's heart twitched and his mouth widened into a smile as his hand touched her back and let a red glow enter her. "No matter what happens, I'll never leave you." The 2 fiends were speechless. "Dude, we're your teammates here. Shouldn't you tell us how to deal with the danger? Fiend Yang and company are awaiting rescue, yet here you are flirting with women? The sect rules are right. Any demonic cultivator taken by love will lose themselves in it." Shui Ruahua and the others had an odd taste in their mouth. Any sect forbids men and women from getting too close. While not as strict as demonic cultivators, Righteous cultivators deny it on account of messing with their cultivation. These women were in the prime of their womanhood. Sure, they indulged in some hanky-panky now and then, but they still cultivated the rest of the time. But seeing these two in a world of their own making stirred something in their lonely hearts, a longing and desire they never knew existed. Danner went beet red. Sister Ching is like a fairy, with all in the sect adoring her. Yet why did she fall for a demon? She had no answer. That senior sister of hers was punished for the same reason. Danner began to worry about Chu Ching's shaky future. Go die, you rotten couple. Let her go. You prick. I got dibs first. Do it now or die. The hatred-fueled howl came from beyond the fog. While scared out of their minds still, the others had to admit that these two lovebirds showing off in public needed to be talked down. Dude, we're on different sides, but we got your back. Fan smiled, irking him on purpose, raising their connected hands. I'm just that charming. What are you gonna do about it? Hi. Getting you separated is nothing to me. Overconfident punk. The cackle was followed by the billowing fog rushing for them. It took the rest in its wake like all the countless victims before. I will have you suffer in the 7th grade soul-rotting moon array for 49 days. When I get my fill of her, I'll drop by to tell you how she fared. Hi. All wanted to run away. But where? It took little time for the fog to take them, leaving but the cute couple. The two stepped back for as long as they could, but alas, the fog was on them. Chu Ching's mind hazed over and Fan shouted, Ching. His cries died out as well. With his eyes glazing over, the cackle came once again. Fool, no matter how sharp your mind is, you're too weak. It's a waste of time toying with a puny second-layer radiant stage cultivator. Hi. Pa. Fan's hand on Chu Ching got thrown off, and then a burst of distant laughter echoed. Too bad the guy didn't notice Shua's eyes sporting an extra bright azure flame roar. The prismatic dragon roamed within his mind, surrounded by the fog yet never approaching. The prismatic shield protected it from anything. The dragon's eyes snapped open and howled as a torrent of azure flame exploded from within it into an inferno, burning away any trace of the fog. Fan opened his eyes, the azure flame flicking on his forehead, clearing his mind. Ha. The guy played for so long he got cocky. He has no clue of the meaning of who laughs last. Fan snickered. With the azure flame, no method will ever harm my soul. Now then, time to follow him to his lair. Fan then gave his white surroundings a once-over and sighed. Almost forgot. I'm still stuck in his array. If you can set one, can I as well? I have sacred stones too. If there's one thing I don't lack, it's sacred stones. Hi. With a cackle, Fan waved his hands, and the lights released formed an intricate array, then formed a hand sign and shouted, array on array. Boom! With a large quake, Fan at the center, a dazzling light flashed, expanding in all directions. The inexplicable fog had met its match, scattering on the spot. The empty town was now clear and regained its quiet nature except for being empty. Chapter 6:17. Demonic. Chapter 6:17. Demonic. Ah, no. In a deep cave, a shriek bounced off the solid bedrock. Shui Ruohua and the newly captured prey opened their eyes to witness a most blushing scene. They saw a blushing man with red hair and a creepy smile, the same youth they met 2 weeks back, as well as a most familiar woman, howling under that vile spawn of a human being. Junior sister. Shui Ruohua cried, You bastard, let her go. She felt powerless to come to her rescue. Finding her cultivation sapped, the redhead snickered. Hi. Lassie, are you that excited? Don't worry, your number will come up soon. Rotten piece of filth. Shui Ruohua's eyes were red at the agony her dear junior sister was subjected to. Chu Ching and Danner woke up as well to see the same revolting image while of the demon scheming Sect's gang. Only the women snorted something, as the rest were quite eager learners of this ritual the beasts used every now and then. Fiend Young was drooling. Hey, Pilgrim, we don't know them, just bumped into each other. Do what you want with the girls, but let us go. Hee, I saw you trying to help them. Don't think your act will fool anyone. The redhead mocked. Fiend Young sighed. Our leader is an old friend of that woman, so he wanted to help. We're different. Who cares? You're in my cave, So that makes you my prey, at my whim. The redhead cackled as he put more effort into his actions, making the miss under him cry one last time before slumping. She dried up under the naked eye, becoming a husk in seconds, sucking in. Fiend Yang eased up. Since the guy trains in such an art, we guys should be safe. Huh. Whoosh. The redhead, however, stood up and flicked for a youth to fall into his hand. He then absorbed the red lights emanating from the kid. His essence, the youth ended up dried up like the last, now it's Yang. Fiend Yang's face twitched, looking at the redhead with pitiful eyes. Dude, are you a man or woman? Can't you just pick one? Let some of us have a shot at life at least. Hi. I'm taking both Yin and Yang. Don't you worry, I'll be tending to pluck an ethereal stage expert's Yang soon. It must be a treat for sure. Ha ha ha. Fiend Yang's face sank and looked at his fellow comrades sporting the same bitter face. Here I am, a mighty ethereal stage expert, finding my end at the hands of a kid, by having my Yang taken no less. Oh, the shame. Curse you, Fan. You said you'd save us. Where the hell are you? Every victim here echoed his thoughts. As they gave their lives, also Fan would come up with a solution, ignoring the old guys. The redhead pulled his pants with a happy grin and turned to the ladies present. Yuer in particular. Hi, girly, how ripe you are. Want to chat with yours truly? The redhead went to break both her arms and legs except for a creak. Nothing gave and the guy looked baffled. Hey, are you sure you're a woman? How are you so hard? Come on, break already. The redhead snarled. What the hell is your body made of? Yuer mocked. Sorry, but Master gave us all zombie pills that harden our bodies. So stop wasting your breath. There's actually such a bastard master out there? I get punishing one's disciples, but to do it all so I can't enjoy you? The redhead was outraged. Who here is your damn master? Come out and cure her. Stop yelling. He's not here. Kuei-Lang sighed. Dude, let us move around a bit, or we'll soon be too stiff to even talk. We'll just turn to stone and die. Glossing over the plea, the redhead frowned and exclaimed, It's that punk. Just how is he your master when you have higher cultivation? That's how he has us under control. Kuei-Gang lamented, coming up with an excuse. The redhead nodded, slapping his chest. Not to worry, the punk is stuck in my array. In a couple of days, I'll get the cure from his corpse, and then the fun will start. Hi. His lusty grin fell on Yuer and Bai Lian before leaving. The two glared in reply, then eased a breath. The zombie pill truly is a blessing in disguise. Contrary to popular belief, not all demonic cultivator women were like Hu Mayer, not caring about her reputation and dignity. The redhead went to mystical heaven's Sect's side, patting Shui Ruahua's soft cheeks, then Danner and the other women. How smooth, how soft. Now that's what I call a woman, not a rock. Now break. Stop, you fiend. Don't touch them. It was I that insulted you. Take it out on me if you must. Someone shouted. The girls turned around in glee. Young master. However, the sight of him left them stunned. Xian Xiaoyu's hair was a mess, his eyes red, his face pale, and it bore a crazed look. His mind drifted off somewhat, his gaze nasty. Bastard. What did you do to young master? Shui Ruahua cursed. The redhead snickered. Nothing. Just let him enjoy the show, lucky bastard. Yet look what that did to him. His poor heart couldn't take it. How is it my fault? There's no way our refined young master would. Shui Ruahua's face was red from anger. The redhead shook his head. Refined? You righteous, pompous cultivators just love slapping each other with fancy words, all for appearance's sake. I only said he looks refined normally, while when crazy he's anything but human. Quite the demon like me, in fact. Did you know this same nice young master of yours had a taste of your junior sister Zine? What? Shui Ruahua and the girls watched Xian Xiaoyu with questioning gazes. All he could do was hang his head in shame. He went demonic, just as filthy as this demon. Shut up, demonic vermin. Young master will never fall for your schemes. He'd never make such a mistake. An elder shouted Shui Ruahua, and the others cried, Elder Yun, you're all right? There were 3 elders at Xian Xiaoyu's side, 2 in the 4th layer of the ethereal stage, and the other in the 5th. They all looked calm with their eyes closed. Elder Yun was the leader, reprimanding despite not looking. The redhead walked over with a smile. Old coot, I had tried so many times to tempt you old guys, yet only he fell each time. With all of us having a demon inside, sooner or later it will come out. Since Mystical Heaven Sect's young master is now a demonic cultivator, would that make Mystical Heaven Sect a future demonic sect? Ha ha ha. Preposterous. Young master is still too young and naive. While he may make mistakes, there is no way he will walk the same path to hell as you demons. He will not shame Mystical Heaven Sect. Elder Yun cussed. The redhead shrugged. It's all the same, since Mystical Heaven Sect's tiniest stain will make it a laughing stock to the other sections, a righteous cultivator learning how to pluck his sect's sisters in fact. Tell me if that ain't funny, haha. The elder's beards shook in rage while Xian Xiaoyu just hung his head. Shui Ruohua looked at this young kid in pity and sighed. Chapter 618. Demonic. Chapter 618. Demonic. I've wasted enough time on some old buzzards. I'd rather enjoy my spring around lovely ladies, ha ha ha. Flicking his sleeve, the redhead sported his same old lustful smile. Now, who's the next pretty? Ha ha ha. The women were fuming mad. Their hearts in their throats. The target of this sicko would lose her life and her innocence. The redhead's eyes slobbered all over Chu Qingqing's refined casing. It's the first time I, Yinamo, saw such a pure woman. I can't help myself and can't wait to enjoy it. Chu Qingqing had only a cold glare for him, a special woman indeed, to not feel fear. Yinamo said. She shook her head. How can I when I know he'll save me? Who? That nobody. Just a second-layer radiant stage cultivator trapped in a dream? Give it up, ha ha ha. Yinamo laughed. Chu Qingqing had the same smile on her lips. You don't know him like I do. He never goes back on his word. Watching her pure smile from the heart mesmerized all present. Not even women could escape her charm. Xian Xiaoyu's heart stirred. Who is she talking about? Yinamo licked her lips. Angel face, you're really amazing. I just can't wait to have you. No, I won't turn you into a husk like those other nobodies. I will have you forever at my side. How dare you sully junior sister Qingqing with your mouth? Pa! Yinamo smacked Xian Xiaoyu in his place and into the wall. He crashed to the floor, bleeding from the mouth. Young master. The women cried. Yinamo sneered. Kid, I let you in on the fun, and now you grow an attitude to look at my woman? You can have anyone here, except her. You just don't cut it. Xian Xiaoyu glared back. Yinamo ignored him and turned to Chu Qingqing with the same sickening smile. Darling, I won't force you, though I bet you'll be begging me soon for it. Hi hi hi. Yinmo's finger had a tongue of flame hovering on the tip, with cyan and scarlet intertwining within. The women shuddered as their bodies warmed up and their eyes softened. Elder Yun shut his eyes. Meditate on your inner peace. Don't let the flame control you. That's the rarest demonic flame. Yin-Yang Union Flame. It can control yin and yang, harmonize Tao, and instill desire in one's heart. He used this flame on young master to make him become demonic. The others shuddered and closed their eyes, though the pained expressions and the heavy sweat told a different story. Yinamo cackled at Chu Qingqing. Darling, see that? They're so far, yet can't help themselves. Yet you are right in front of the flame. Your heart must be overwhelmed. Soon you will turn from a virtuous woman into a nympho. That's our cue for a night of good time and perfect bliss, ha ha ha. A shame that's not gonna happen. Chu Qingqing mocked him, sitting just as calm as before. Yinamo took back the flame and cried, Why, you have the empty spirit body. Chu Qingqing gave him a cold smile. The empty spirit body is said to be rarer than once 100,000 years. It can take all energies and null them. It is the best cauldron on earth. It can help others in practicing the most difficult dual cultivation arts by adjusting the yin and yang, a godlike dual Tao companion. Yin Mo's heart shook, then cackled. I struck gold. I was only looking for a bit of fun and found the motherlode. I'll dual cultivate with you my entire life. You will help me improve my control of Yin-Yang Union Flame to new heights, and I can then fight Wu Qingqiu. Yinamo threw himself at her. Chu Qingqing cried, Damn vile swine. Didn't you say you won't force me? Times changed. I wanted your heart before, but now I only want your body. Yin Mo's mouth split into a nasty grin. Mystical Heaven Sect's people were powerless to help. Only watching in anger. Chu Qingcheng was worried as well. What the hell is taking that bastard Zhuo Fan so long? Whoosh! A sharp red glow shot for the deranged Yin Mo, pouncing on Chu Qingcheng's exquisite forms like a guillotine, throwing him into the wall. Yin Mo's chest hurt, looking at Chu Qingcheng in shock. Such a strong soul. It hurt my own, but I clearly sealed all your power. How did you muster so much strength still? Sorry, that was me. You got to give credit to who it's due. An easy voice came from behind Yin Mo. Yin Mo jumped around to face Zhuo Fan 100 meters away. He bore a smile of naked contempt and endless hatred. Zhuo Fan. Steward Zhuo. Brother Zhuo. Took you long enough. All of them were overjoyed. Shui Ruohua and Mystical Heaven Sect's disciples were happy as well. A ray of hope shone down on them. Our Lord Savior is here. Only the elder and Xin Xiaoyu looked on in doubt. Who's he supposed to be? Why do they take him as their savior? Then they saw Chu Qingcheng's eyes filled with love. Xin Xiaoyu gnashed his teeth. So it's him. A flick of his finger called back the red glow from Chu Qingcheng, and Blood Infant was back in his home. Ha ha. Letting Blood Infant in Qingcheng and using her as bait paid off. Oh, did our lovey-dovey scene get on your nerves? Zhuo Fan mocked Yin Mo. Yin Mo squinted. You did it just to spite me and force me into separating you, so you could use your demonic creature in her to find me out and save them, as everyone I bring has their cultivation sealed. Haha, we got a winner. We knew ages ago you like to mess around, so we laid a trap for you in the form of a play. I figured you don't like killing much, but instead toying with others, especially with lovers, and then killing them. Great minds think alike, I see. No wonder you're a demonic cultivator. Yin Mo smiled. How did you know I'll take the bait? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. Are you stupid or blind? A glance at Qingcheng, and all will be made clear. That lovely and beautiful complexion. Who can resist it? Every man on this God's green earth would blow a gasket seeing us. It goes double to a playful imp like you. Chu Qingcheng blushed and rolled her eyes. Yet her heart was all warm and fuzzy. Yin Mo gnashed his teeth. Ha ha, nicely done. You're among the rare few that got me. I admit it. Though one more thing I don't understand. How did you escape the array? Setting a 7th grade array's nothing to it, and using sacred stones on it is the same. Zhuo Fan showed a stone practically oozing spiritual energy. Fiddling with it and throwing it around. I can even set 10th grade arrays. As for sacred stones, let's just say you're not the only money back. What's so hard on using an array on array? Pop. It was the sound of eyeballs falling on the ground. The audience watched the sacred stone in Zhuo Fan's hand with stupefaction, especially the demon scheming Sect's group. They all knew Zhuo Fan was loaded, but this was ridiculous even for him. Now here he was flaunting the stuff on their way to Double Dragon, gathering to fight for it. Talk about cruel irony. Chapter 619, Demon vs. Imp. Chapter 619, Demon vs. Imp. Yin Mo showed a creepy grin. Ha, marvelous. There's actually a demonic cultivator from the lower 3 sects with a good head on his shoulders. Foiled at every turn. My game in shambles, and even expert in arrays. You'd be a rarity even in the superior 3 sects. Then again, Yin Mo mocked. You can have all the brains in the world, the sharpest wit, the cleverest ploys. Yet none will help you without the strength to back them all up. The best you could do with your puny cultivation is running away. Yet you came for me? Your demonic creature might be somewhat special, even against an ethereal stage expert, but it's nothing to me. You came here to die, moron. Mystical Heaven Sect's gang's heart was in their throat in worry for Zhuo Fan. He held their last and only hope of getting out of here alive. Now no one would get the word out of their sufferings. The 3 elders sized the new guy up with a sigh. The 2nd layer radiant stage cultivator won't stand a chance. He came to get killed. Funny how the only ones chilling were demon scheming Sect side. Even sporting a cold smile, none actually got to see the full extent of Steward Zhuo's mighty power coming to bear. Even killing Grand Elder's lackeys, he still held back. Oh, there was one other person who had blind trust in the man, Chu Qingcheng, despite not knowing anything about him in the past few years. Ha ha ha. Oh, right? You never saw my real strength, so you thought you could take me, reckless fool. Yinmo cackled. Feast your eyes on real power. Yinmo's energy exploded like a flood. The ghastly aura sent shivers into the rest, even the venerables. A fifth-layer ethereal stage expert. The fiends and elders paled. The first were overwhelmed. Someone so young could be so strong. The latter were depressed, finding he was no average cultivator at all to be coming from a superior 3 sect. Elder Yun of the same cultivation would bet anything he wouldn't stand 10 blows on Yinmo's back. 2 flames appeared, red and blue, turning into pythons that bit each other's tails as they spun around and released a strange vibe. Zhuofan's eyes flashed azure. Oh, a demonic flame. Yin-yang union flame. So that's your crutch to all the arrogance. You can withstand its effect? Phased. Yinmo frowned, and worry instinct told him this second-layer radiant stage cultivator's unnatural calmness hid something far worse. It also baffled him how he could feel like that from an ant. Like how a lion met a viper. Despite how clear the difference was, the first was on guard since the latter's venom could spell doom. The perplexity he found himself in left Yinmo's heart quivering. I refuse to believe a radiant stage cultivator can threaten me. It's preposterous. Yinmo took a deep breath to steel himself and roared, Punk. It's too late for regrets now that you've seen such might. Ha ha ha. Showing all your cards before a fight is the dumbest thing in the world. Man, you're naive. As a senior demonic cultivator, it is only decent of me to teach the younglings and steer them on the right demonic path. Zhuofan mocked. Yinmo was fuming mad. You dare patronize me when you're the junior? Yinmo shot a savage fire attack like a meteor shower, straight for him. Elder Yun sighed. This attack contains his soul. No radiant stage cultivator can withstand it. The kid is doomed. The women panicked, even as Fiend Yang's side laid back to enjoy the show. Bam. The fire scattered to nothing, revealing Zhuofan's light brushing and evil smile. How could this be? Yinmo was on the verge of a meltdown. Elder Yun gasped in disbelief, while the women froze in abject shock. Since when could a radiant stage cultivator take an ethereal stage expert's blow and live? Who the hell is this guy? Even Danner was slack-jawed at the sheer absurdity of it all. Ha ha ha. Underestimating an enemy before battle is the worst fault a demonic cultivator can have. Did I mention you're naive? Making sure to point out with a wide grin, Zhuofan mocked Yinmo. Yinmo's brow shook. His teeth clenched. That was just a casual strike. Whoosh. Zhuofan flashed in Yinmo's face as his right eye flashed golden once. How? When? Yinmo's heart was beating out of his chest, having not caught the slightest sign of how Zhuofan did it. Zhuofan made sure to stop any thoughts of elucidating as his punch came down hard and fast. Right for the noggin. Bam. Yinmo put his hand up in reflex and felt a pain like no other searing deep into his bone. Even as it still came for his forehead, left with little choice, he put his other arm up. Much good did that do, still incapable of stopping this unrelenting force. This guy's body is a freak of nature. With no time to make use of his soul power, his body flashed with spiritual armor. Zhuofan's mere flick of the Qilin arm sent Yinmo bouncing through the air and smack into the cave wall. The cave now sported an extra breathing hole as the wall crumbled, 100 meters deep, through which the bright rays of the sun graced this eerie hellhole. Not that the others had a mind to even register the implication, to out of it to even twitch. A singular strike sent an ethereal stage expert careening through the air. Who the hell is this freak? Not even the superior 3 sects have someone like this. The elders were stumped. This is the disciple the demon scheming sect is taking to Double Dragon Gathering? This is too friggin' much. How are we supposed to beat that? Underestimating your enemy, yet still making up excuses for yourself. If that's not naive, I don't know what is. Flicking his right, Zhuofan smiled. Fiend Yang, just like we guessed, this guy's spoiled rotten, having always gotten his way. Just your average rotten, albeit talented, apple. As the true devil here, you should let the imp know what setback means. Hi hi hi, Fiend Yang snickered. Hi hi hi. The demon scheming sect's disciples laughed along. The bang cut their joy short though, as the rubble turned to ashes and revealed Yinmo covered in a flaming armor glaring at Zhuofan. He lost his mocking air, replaced by hatred. Zhuofan smiled. He's finally showing what he has. This should be fun. Chapter 620, Wrestling. Chapter 620, Wrestling. Whoosh. Yinamo jumped right at Shuafan without preamble, packing a fiery fist just for his face. The immense power behind it and the burning sensation left Shuafan understanding just how deadly Yin-Yang Union Flame was. So he blocked with his Qilin arm. While the fire punch was halted, Shuafan staggered 10 feet. Yin-Mo's fiery fist took on another layer of flames, this time blue. The two flames combined and the power multiplied. Caught off guard, it was now Shuafan's time to barrel through the air and splatter against the back cave wall, creating another 100-meter deep hole. The added rays brought more light into this now somewhat lit cavern. Yinamo watched the burning rubble with a cold eye. What was it you said, naive? The eyes of everyone twitched. Yinamo was like a stranger, calculative and fierce, without any openings. This is Hellion Flame's first genius, Yinamo. Elder Yun sighed in disappointment. He barely used a third of his power when he was playing around, but now he will hold nothing back in displaying his 5th-layer ethereal stage cultivation. There's no way the guy can take him on, no matter how much of a freak he is. We're done for. The women cried, mirroring Elder Yun's despair. Their hopes of keeping themselves intact were crushed with the fall of the rubble. Danner watched the expanding fire. Of the two demons, Shuafan is a bit better. I hope he wins. The rest all hoped the same, despite the sheer discrepancy. They sighed at Yin-Mo's unnatural change, their faith in Shuafan hitting rock bottom. Only the demon-scheming Sect's side kept a straight face. They were living testament to Shuafan's power and savagery. Rumble. Shuafan crawled out of the burning rubble, shaking his numb hand with a smile. Yin-Yang Union Flame, fusing Yin and Yang resulting in explosive power. My Qilin arm almost couldn't take it. Young and childish, but he has some mentality. He flipped the switch to having a fight to the death and lost his tantrums on the spot. He is from a superior 3 sect for a reason. Guess I'd get serious myself. I won't live down being defeated by the same thing I preached. The shame would kill me, and he is far stronger than those trash elders too. Shuafan squinted, and an eerie aura surrounded him. Yin-Mo's heart tensed, ready for anything. Despite the gap in cultivation, the feeling he got from him was nothing like any other fight he had. It was dangerous. I now consider you my equal, just like Wu Qingqiu. Yinamo spoke whoosh. Shuafan flashed in front of him and used his Qilin arm to claw his chest wraith style. Second move, Ghostly Dragon Claw. Roar. The draconic roar split ears and the flames on the armor were flickering before the strike even came. Yinamo was startled. Not even an 8th-grade demonic treasure can take his raw strength? Just what treasures does he have? He chose to trust his intuition still, no matter what doubts he had. Putting all his trust in the armor on the off chance that the kid would break, it would mean certain death. Yinamo jumped back while throwing red and blue flames. They combined with a bang and clashed with the claw boom. Shuafan got swallowed by the towering flames. Yinamo grinned, though unable to laugh as the claw ran the fire through and came right at him. He reacted on the spot by taking out 2 halberds. Clang. The screeching sound jarred his ears as he was barely holding his own from the eerie burning claw. Next thing he knew, he saw the towering flames dissipate, revealing a grinning Shuafan. Yin-Mo's only logical reaction, freak. He then jumped 100 meters back, to put some distance between them. High profound ranked martial art, Twin Dragon Devour. Red and blue flashed from the halberd as they combined into 2 Yin-Yang Union flame-made flood dragons charging for Shuafan. The same ranked martial art would show different effects depending on cultivation, and with Yin-Mo's ethereal stage level, the attack was backed by his soul power. However, there was no reason for Shuafan with his heaven dragon soul to be scared. Devouring dragon? As if. Shuafan scoffed, his body releasing black energy and turning into a dragon. Wraith Style's first move, Soaring Demonic Dragon. Roar. Shuafan's body clashed with the 2 flood dragons, resulting in a spectacular explosion. Shuafan pressed the advantage. Going at Yinamo, Yinamo shook, finding it hard to believe Shuafan was so tough no attack could harm him. He had no time to even make a sign as Shuafan pushed him back, Using only his halberds to block the resounding blows, the cave flashed black and red all over as the two sources shifted throughout the cavern. Yin Mo relied on his yin-yang union flame while Zhuofan used raw power as the two wrestled for supremacy using arts or even plain blows as the spectacle was ongoing. The spectators' minds were blown. How is the kid on the same foot as Yin Mo? Actually, he's on the advantage, coming to bear on Yin Mo. Elder Yun shook, his eyes wide as dinner plates for seeing something incomprehensible despite having lived so long. While the women's hopes were rekindled as for the demon scheming Sect's gang, they treated as natural, even mocking the rest's ignorance. Quit your oohing. This is nothing. Say what? Elder Yun turned to them. Fiend Yang cackled in pride. Disciple leader Zhuofan is always modest and withdrawn. This is nothing. You ought to be praising Yin Mo for lasting so long. Guess he isn't just another gutter rat. Elder Yun was perplexed and snorted. Don't get carried away. The kid may be somewhat great, but he's just in the radiant stage. I don't know how he can block the soul attacks, but he can't keep this up, ha ha ha. The women were even more perplexed. Elder Yun, Zhuofan is fighting for us. If he loses, we die. Shui Ruahua pointed out like a good disciple. Ugh. Elder Yun flushed. He always looked down on the demon-scheming sect, bickering at every chance he got. A shame his mouth got the better of him this time when both sides were in dire straits. And picking faults with the demon-scheming sect now was the same as picking faults with himself when he ought to cheer the kid on crack. Meanwhile, the jarring noises stopped and the rest cried at the scene. Chapter 621, Soul Domain. Chapter 621, Soul Domain. Bam! With chips flying every which way, Yin Mo watched his hands holding a halberd and a stick across from him was Zhuofan's red glowing right and a ridiculing smile. For God's sake, what is that bloody body made of to shatter a high-rated demonic treasure? Zhuofan's belligerent display of unbridled power had left everyone in awe. Even ethereal stage body cultivators could pull off what he did. My 9th-grade demonic treasure. My twin halberds. Yin Mo's morning got cut short as he heard whistling. Zhuofan's savage claw was relentless, scaring him into throwing the other halberd at it after a clank. Yin Mo put much-needed distance between them, for his safety and his nerves, so that's why my armor shook before. It was warning me that this freak's freaky arm is ridiculous. What kind of body can even smash 9th-grade demonic treasures? Letting the claw land on my body will run me through armor and all. Zhuofan was coming again. His only way of flipping the tables was by using such a move that overcame the body, a soul attack. Not like Zhuofan would let him go through the motions of unleashing an art of such magnitude with how close he stuck. That leaves only one choice. Yin Mo chuckled, sigh, as the best talent in Hellion Flame. I'm now reduced to using cheap tricks. It's all his fault for being so much of a weirdo. Yin Mo turned his back and flew down, his halberd aiming straight for Chu Qingqing. All were by themselves with worry. Qingqing? Chu Qingqing couldn't move for her life. She, however, had no fear, judging by that smile directed at the pursuing Zhuofan hot on his tail. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage. Shift. His right eye flashed golden and bam fed right in front of her clang. Zhuofan flicked the halberd away and watched the ever-smug Yin Mo with a cold eye. Hi. I just knew it. You care about her. I bet the show you put on in the inn was more real than fake. Yin Mo snickered. Zhuofan said, as if, this is between me and you, not a fight for another to interfere. And I came here to save them. Where's all my respect go if I just let you harm them? Is that so? Yin Mo gave a taunting smile and gave his weapon a flick sideways. The windblade struck home and a mystical heaven sect's disciple wailed as he burned to ashes. Yin Mo mocked. You call this helping? Zhuofan's face was cold as ice. Hi. The more you explain, the deeper you bury yourself. Do you think I can't tell you care about this one? When I threw myself at her, you could have bid your time and used the demonic creature to kill me in one strike. So why then did you choose to miss it? He. And don't tell me a mastermind like you would make such an elementary mistake. Have some self-respect. Yin Mo grinned. Zhuofan found silence to be golden. Chu Qingqing's eyes looked upon him with the sweetest gaze she could muster and a bright smile whoosh. The halberd swung, targeting Chu Qingqing behind Zhuofan, who squinted as he acted it only worked to prove Yinmo's theory. Ha ha ha, she's your weakness for sure. Now you're done for as you've committed the greatest sin for a demonic cultivator, love. While I like her, there's no way I'd let her drag me down. Whoosh. All his attacks targeted Chu Qingqing and Zhuo Fan blocked some, while others struck him. Chu Qingqing saw the dozens of wounds on him with pain. Though she knew from his firm eyes that any urge to leave her would go unanswered, nothing could change Zhuo Fan's mind. Yinmo snickered in childish glee. Using her to strike at him, it was now Zhuo Fan's turn to be pressed. The women were touched to the core. What a man! Even a demon, he still remains to protect her with his life. How many righteous Dao companions are there who would do the same? Even the feisty Danner looked at him with different eyes. The fiends were panicking and cursing. Screw the broad and get your head back in the game by killing that prick. Free us, damn it. Zhuo Fan knew this was bad, and his right flashed red. Relentless force came at Yinmo, who sidestepped. Zhuo Fan used this chance to grab Chu Qingqing's waist and fly away to a safer place. Yinmo wasn't going to sit by and let it happen. He came at him again, while Zhuo Fan deflected the best he could. Yinmo hid feints and strikes among his moves so that a third would go for Zhuo Fan and the rest for Chu Qingqing, yet he blocked every one of them. The rest watched in worry and shock. Zhuo Fan was holding his own in a fight while having someone in his arms. He wasn't backing down one bit. Mystical Heaven Sect's elders admired him. Even more so as Chu Qingqing never had a scratch on her. Yinmo was pissed, though he was using a woman to put Zhuo Fan into a corner, but the guy just wouldn't fall. Zhuo Fan could fight him despite all the chains around his neck. It went as far as making him look bad. That's the same as saying I'm useless. Sure, all demonic cultivators were devious and despicable. While the shame of losing was one thing, losing even as you tricked your opponent was even worse. The fact he was some big-shot talent only amplified the shame. Blast it all to hell. I was saving it for Wu Qingqiu, not this bastard. You're really getting on my nerves here. Yinmo fell back and Zhuo Fan did the same, placing Chu Qingqing behind a barrier just as two flames came at him. Zhuo Fan dodged one and met the other with his ghostly dragon claw. As the light show died down, Yinmo was found floating above, with the blue and red snakes biting their tails and spinning behind him, feeding on each other. The cave itself turned blue and red, growing hotter and hotter. Soul domain? The fiends and the elders jerked. They figured Yinmo was using yin-yang union flame and thus had a fire soul, or the snake circle behind was his soul, when in fact it was the worst move to take on, a soul domain. Just like Impermanence 5's vicissitude domain. In this domain, one was God. Anyone caught within its range was at the whims of the user. Zhuo Fan's frown deepened at last, even with the Heaven Dragon soul. He was fighting it out with an expert in the 5th layer ethereal stage. He had never tackled a domain to know if he'd come out on top, and to make it worse, Zhuo Fan glanced at Chu Qingqing. He wanted her safe, which became moot the instant the domain was activated, his worry for her mounting. The flames parted ways, making way for the king on his mission. I didn't attack you in the inn so that I can find the captives. While in your array, moving was also complicated. And finally, there are too many people around to act as I want. Up till now, I was doing Hellion Flame a favor by sparing you, wishing to avoid a feud. And with so many around us, it was easy to implicate others. But now you've crossed the line. So you've been holding out on me? Yinmo mocked. The way he saw it, Zhuo Fan was bluffing all the way. Who the hell is he kidding, barely defending while protecting a woman? He never believed it. Zhuo Fan shook his head. It's not holding back, but making it into a death match. I had no intent to kill you, until now. What's the difference? Yinmo mocked. Zhuo Fan's nasty grin resurfaced. I can waste you without lifting a finger. The prismatic dragon in his mind opened its eyes and roared. Zhuo Fan's power surged, releasing an undeniable draconic power upon the world. Everyone there gasped, with the ethereal stage experts sensing their very souls trembling, while Yinmo's soul domain shuddered and threatened to collapse. This can't be. It was the unanimous reaction. Never had there been a situation for any of them in which their souls would bore such pressure. This radiant stage kid formed his soul? How did he do it to be so frightening? Zhuo Fan, with a stone-cold face, shot for Yinmo while holding Chu Qingqing. Still, Yinmo was outraged. You dare mock me? With a sign, The snakes behind him spun faster, blending the yin and yang fires that sent at Zhuo Fan like a tidal wave, pseudo-earth-ranked martial art, bipolar conflagration. Zhuo Fan squinted as he charged on, his hands making a sign despite holding Chu Qingqing. Wraith Style's third move, Heaven Dragon Soul, Necro Dragon Screech. Zhuo Fan's surroundings exploded in a prismatic light, accompanied by a roar. The sound slammed into the firestorm, scattering it. Before coming down on Yinamo, Yinamo couldn't believe his soul was so strong that even his martial arts collapsed. He rushed out of the way, just as the sound wave brushed him. It slammed into the wall and threw it towards the sky. This was also the moment the soul domain fell. Yinamo shook like a leaf. He really wants to kill me. He wouldn't have gone this far if he knew Zhuo Fan was before him now. Despite that great skill he used just now, it didn't stop his assault one iota. Zhuo Fan was a beast intent on tearing him apart. Chapter 623, Rescue. Chapter 623, Rescue. Yinmo's eyes tightened on Zhuo Fan's ever-nearing form. While his hands were busy holding a beauty, the threat wasn't any less, as Zhuo Fan's furious retaliation was still fresh in his mind. A freak among freaks, even with his hands tied. He's right. We really are worlds apart. This grand talent in Hellion Flame, for the first time ever, admitted he was beneath someone, something he could never do before the best genius in Western lands, Wu Qingqiu. But against this storm of rage before him, he felt like a bug. There was only one thought that took over his mind: escape. The farther the better. Yinamo turned his eyes on Chu Qingqing, his only weakness. His eyes flashed and pulled a dirk, throwing it at Chu Qingqing while he made a run for it, figuring Zhuo Fan had to use his limbs to save her, buying him enough time. Zhuo Fan's anger sword, his right eye shining golden, divine eye of the void, second stage, void annihilation. Whoosh! Clang! Something shot from him to the dagger and went on for Yinamo. The danger woke Yinamo up from his delusion, shifting to the sight by instinct. The attack brushed his skin, taking it away and making him grimace. Zhuo Fan didn't let him enjoy the pain, still hugging Chu Qingqing and still coming at him. A prismatic draconic tail up and sprouted from his back, sweeping at Yinamo. What the hell is his soul form? Why so big? Yinamo felt like swearing. Zhuo Fan was so enraged he wouldn't give Yinamo a moment to catch his breath. He wouldn't have picked on the broads if he knew there was such a crazed beast among them. Yinamo felt like crying, with no choice but to use the two snakes to block the incoming tail. The yin and yang flames united and formed a shield. Bam! The huge draconic tail slammed into the flaming snakes, erasing them from this world. Next came the howls. These two snakes didn't even last a second, and the tail smashed into its intended target. Yinamo, the splitting headache resulted from his injured soul. Spitting blood. Zhuo Fan was only getting started. Flicking around, the tail scraped the cave wall before it came for Yinamo, buried in the wall. He howled in pain as the tail left him in tatters. With another swish of the tail, the cave top blew away 10 miles, mountain and all, before coming down, crumbling. The hot sun above spilled its glorious warmth on the frozen faces of every captive. He can blow up mountains if angry enough. They all witnessed how a deep mountain cave turned into a valley with the slightest gesture, but the savagery on Zhuo Fan's face, hovering there above them, left them gulping. He's worse than Yinamo. How is he from a lower 3 sect when he's as strong as Double Dragon Manor? All saw Zhuo Fan as nothing more than a godly beast sent from the heavens above, demon scheming sect included. Is this his true power? This is no longer abnormal, but godlike. Zhuo Fan had no mind to care about extras, still as cold, as furious, and as determined. He put the tail away and landed gently before letting Chu Qingqing down. Then the azure flame circled her head 3 times, and Chu Qingqing found she could move. She gave him the sweetest smile, finding him the same man no matter how atrocious he was. The kid seal was complicated and needed time to deal with it. No wonder he's from a superior 3 sect. At Chu Qingqing's soft gaze, his chilly face deflated. Though awkward, Chu Qingqing nodded, smiling. True. Then she changed topics. The others are sealed as well. We should help them. She rushed forward only to wince at the next step, forgetting about her injured ankle. Zhuo Fan helped her down, holding her soft calf in his hand as a sizzling azure glow healed her wound. Zhuofan used the Heaven Dragon Soul again. Since it was made of 10 Earth Dragon Souls, the power of the returning dragon's roar was within it. You should look after yourself before thinking of rescuing others. Zhuofan looked down as his hand held the dainty foot and the azure glow healed it. Chu Qingcheng was very happy inside, nodding. I know. I won't make you worry again. That's not it. I was just... You don't have to say anything, I understand. We each have our paths that sometimes bump into each other. Chu Qingcheng smiled. Zhuofan kept healing her with utmost care. Yet for some odd reason, he took his time doing it. The shocked masses around the lovely couple were now speechless about how the duo sank into their own little world. Rolling his eyes, Fiend snapped, It's just a flesh wound. A pill will do. Well, we got our cultivation sealed and can't even more. You should be helping us first. Yeah, master. If we can't move soon, we might never get the chance again. Kuei Gang laughed. The rest laughed with him. Even mystical heaven sect's girls, even those with a bad disposition for demonic cultivators, found Zhuofan in high regard. All because of his devotion to Chu Qingcheng in keeping her safe from any harm. He was the living wet dream of every girl. Zhuofan shrugged. Awkward. And Chu Qingcheng giggled. Only Xian Xiaoyu gnashed his teeth at the lovey-dovey couple. I'm fine. With her delicate foot safely down, Zhuofan smiled and went to unseal Fiend and company. Stretching about, they had odd smiles for Zhuofan. Next came mystical heaven sect's turn, who was just as grateful. Shui Ruohua's opinion of him soared. While the elders looked at him like he sprouted a new head, the thanks never came. Not when they dreaded the Double Dragon gathering where they'd be meeting this same monster on stage. They even thought of getting rid of him once, and for although they didn't act on it. Recalling his savage fight with Yinamo, who are we kidding? They couldn't beat Yinamo yet wanted to take on a monster far worse than their kidnapper. Elder Yun jumped. What of Yinamo? I reckon he should be in the rubble 10 miles out. The attack of mine must have sent him there with the mountain and everything. Zhuofan blurted. He acts like it was nothing. Elder Yun ordered. Someone get Yinamo back here. If he gets away, he'll give us revenge we can't handle. Yes. Shui Ruohua gave a deep bow and took some disciples to the ruble. 6 hours later, they came in a panic. Elder, there's no sign of him. What? Elder Yun's countenance changed for the worse. Chapter 624, On the Road Together. Chapter 624, On the Road Together. You only care about girls and now look. We are here stuck with our sealed cultivation while you play the hero, not caring what happens to us. How are we supposed to trust you? The fiends glared at Zhuofan. While the rest opted for silence, Zhuofan rolled his shoulders. Why are you complaining when I just saved you? Fiend snickered. You think that settles it? You brought this mess upon us. Now we are filled with fear. These youths will be so scared they can't even sleep. Shouldn't you do something about it? Please, as elders coming to Double Dragon Gathering, you're no scared children. You're just trying to extort me. You think I'm gonna fall for it? Zhuofan mocked. The trio jerked yet saw Zhuofan wasn't pushing it and signaled Fiend to continue. Kid, a leader does not cheat his fellow disciples, does not draw trouble. Bah, when did I draw trouble? What do you think Yinamo was? Fiend shouted. This was mystical heaven sect's problem, not ours. Yet for some broad, what makes you so sure it was unrelated? Zhuofan cut him off with a heavy expression. Hellion Flame is joining the Double Dragon Gathering. No? Don't you know about knowing your enemy and yourself? Using this matter to find more about our enemies couldn't be better. But they're a superior 3 sect. All the more reason. Zhuofan spoke from his moral high ground. Don't tell me you knew everything about their disciples when you fought with them, about their cultivation methods, skills, and whatnot. If so, why the hell did I have to fish for info? You should feel ashamed for neglecting your disciples instead of preaching reason with me. The trio was speechless. The hell? How is it our fault? Scratching their beards, the trio's mind was mushed by Zhuofan's twisted logic. Fiend yelled, Hold on. They're the superior 3 sects and have nothing to do with us. Why should we scout them out? We should be focusing on the middle 3 sects instead, to target the weakest and take its place. Humph, how narrow-minded. You're content with just being a middle 3 sect? Zhua Fan snorted. The trio was stunned. Why, you mean? When I do something, I do it all the way. Zhua Fan was filled with pride and arrogance. I will challenge the superior 3 sections. Those in the middle are too easy. SSS. All gasped at Zhua Fan's declaration. Being in the middle 3 sects had been Demon Scheming Sect's life dream. Not even considering the superior 3 sects, these Double Dragon Gathering veterans felt small before Zhua Fan's great ambitions. Truly, the young surpassed the old. Zhua Fan, you have a wider view and greater goals than we ever could. Fiend Gue patted his shoulder. How confident are you? Zhua Fan shook his head. Their disciples are abnormal. Taking Yinamo as an example, I had to use 2/3 of my strength to test him out. If the Double Dragon Gathering has someone much stronger, I may have no chance. But no worries, I'll give my all either way. The trio's faces twitched. Yinamo was like the representative of Hellion Flame with how insane his talent was, among the very best of Western lands. They knew the guy, even if only by name, and the only one who could best him was the Western land's best talent, Wu Qingqiu. Yet, even so, this dude of ours still had a third to spare. While not even the 3 of them could deal with one disciple, but this guy might pull off his ambition. He was the best that ever happened to the Demon Scheming Sect. The trio chuckled. Let's leave it at that then. As long as it's for the sect, we'll follow you along, ha ha ha. The trio clapped in glee as they walked away, then perplexed just a few feet away. Since when did we start being like this? Not looking into this whole mess was more like using an excuse to get something out of Zhua Fan. What though? The trio exclaimed after some deep thinking. Sacred stones. The 3 were regretting it inside. They wanted to use this chance to put some fear in him and get him to cough some sacred stones to keep them quiet, only to have the punk make it like he was challenging superior 3 sects all along. Thus testing out Hellion Flame, they were about to extort Zhua Fan, yet the ship sailed in the end. Chapter 625. But Beetle. Chapter 625. But Beetle. 1:2:1:2. Under the glorious rays of the morning sun, announcing the beginning of a beautiful day, Kue Lang and the Stiffs were fighting a bitter battle with their own bodies, trudging through the flat and open road with every toiling step. Zhua Fan and the Fiends were on a scenic tour, a sharp contrast to the tortured souls behind them. The only difference this morning brought was they got company. Mystical Heaven Sect was dragging itself 100 meters off like some but Beetle's. What should have been a smooth flight, free and refreshing, became a slow and boring pace on the ground. That of the stiff Xian Xiaoyu was fuming. If anyone sees us, a great righteous sect, stuck behind the Demon Scheming Sect, will never hear the end of the humiliation. Elder Yun sighed. Young sect leader has changed so much. His temper has gotten worse. Everyone got sick of explaining the obvious to him for the umpteenth time. They had to stick to the Demon Scheming Sect. For their safety, though, in through one ear and out through the other, the elders gave up in the end, taking the disciples and lagging behind the Demon Scheming Sect, while ignoring the brat's blatant discontent. Elder Yun was still worried seeing Xian Xiaoyu's sinister look. Yinamo has pushed the young master deep down the demonic path. I fear he might be in a demonic abyss, with no way of coming back. Little brother, enough with your complaining. It's hard enough to find someone to help us, and now they'll even protect us. Always criticizing them will only mean we bite the hands that feed us. This will be the greatest dishonor to our sect. Shui Ruohua advised with a smile. Xian Xiaoyu wouldn't hear it, his eyes becoming twisted, holding Zhua Fan's back in his vile sight. Demonic cultivators are miscreants, evil, vile, sinister, and they're only helping us for their own gain. Tagging along will at any time get us in a danger we can never overcome. Young master, such potshots are unfounded. We have nothing they could ever want. Danner turned a smile to Chu Qingcheng. If there ever was some hidden plan, that'd be Sister Qingcheng. Everyone laughed, their gazes on her teasing, blushing. Chu Qingcheng glared back, then shook her head. If he was after me, that'd be a wish come true. Doesn't he care about you? Defending you with his very life is the best proof. Shui Ruohua eyed her oddly. Chu Qingcheng shook her head, one-sided. He is ruthless and cold, powerful and bold in his actions. I'd be happy for even a small fraction of time in his life. The women were perplexed. Aren't they close? Why is she so sad? Xian Xiaoyu's face grew twisted. his nails digging in his palms, and watching Fan like a hawk. Sisters, let's help Sister Qingcheng. Danner proposed. The girls lit up and nodded while Shui Ruahua hesitated and angry rebuke welcomed them. Ignorant girls should stop gossiping and not do something so ridiculous and easily misunderstood. Have you all forgotten your senior sister's fate? Take the lessons of others to heart. The women turned a cautious look to Elder Yun's heavy face. Elder Yun said to Chu Qingcheng, "Keep yourself strong against that playboy, or you'll be thrown deep down the demonic path from which you'll never return." If only he was a playboy. Chu Qingcheng nodded. I understand. Back to the front. Fiend Young snickered behind him. You call them righteous cultivators? But beetles are more like it. Now they're dragging behind us, needing our protection, yet still cuss us. Ridiculous. All gave a firm nod. Fan, you aren't one to have anyone follow you around. Why the change? Fiend Yang growled. Fan shrugged. The road is meant to be walked. They can follow all they want. Besides, they aren't interfering with us. A bunch of but beetles. Pisses me off.